Shared Screens Game of the Year podcast. I'm going to be your host today, Alec Bobko, and we're joined by Austin, Chance, Bret, Jordan, Chris, and Josh.
Too many.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Everyone make sure to all say it at once.
3, 2, 1.
I'm tired. Go wasted. Oh my
mediocre
God,
at best.
incredible.
So before we get into the Game of the Year discussion, got a little bit of housekeeping. Got our limited time merch. This is the Waypoint, themed after the Book of Boba Fett, that you can grab now. Link is in the description. Also, if you'd like to help our podcast grow, remember to like the video, comment what your Game of the Year was, and subscribe and share with your friends. Because, you know, that's what we're all. We're friends here. Share it with them. If you liked our stuff, they probably like our stuff. So, without further ado, we're going to start with Josh. What was your third overall Game of the Year?
I gotta go the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I spent all of last gen just wanting a remaster. I was like, just give it to me, you cowards. Let me get ready for Andromeda. I don't want to go back, dig out the 360, dig out the PS3 for them. And they finally did it at the end of the generation, and playing them all through for the first time, fantastic. All the DLC, everything's in there. They run great. They look great. And yeah, they're incredible. The gameplay still holds up. The story, of course, holds up. And yeah, experiencing that the entire way through was a journey. I sunk in like 87 hours of my life I'll never get back, but it's worth it. And I'm already thinking about other playthroughs, the decisions I'm gonna do next. It's fantastic.
87 perfect hours, some would say. Number 3 is also Mass Effect Legendary Edition for me. What you have something to say to? It's a perfect 87 hours?
Adam?
It is.
Okay. Sorry. I thought.
That's shorter than my calculations. I'm playing through it right now, and so
that is a short playthrough for sure. I'm surprised everybody survived. If they did, I don't know.
I had to read some Excel spreadsheets. Don't get me wrong, to get everyone and get the optimal endings. Shout out the guys on PSN Profiles that did a perfect trophy guide for the best possible, like maximizing the platinum in the most efficient time.
Don't trust Saeed, man. Don't give him any.
I never did.
No spoilers, bro.
Yo, it's a 10-year-old game.
You don't even know the
that
context.
Is remastered.
Yeah, I know.
So I have a question: who's best bae and who's best friend for old Josh?
Ooh, best friend, obviously my boy Garrus.
Oh, dope. Okay, on the right track. On the right track.
Absolutely. Rex, close second. They were my ride or dies in one, and then Rex just kind of bounces out. He takes more of a secondary seat in the other two, but still my boy. I'm gonna go Miranda for my best bae.
What?
I know it's controversial. But you know, I saw her in the beginning of the 2, and I was like, I can fix her. I can fix that woman.
Okay.
I know everyone's team Jack. Jack didn't look hot till the 3rd game. And you can't romance her in the 3rd game.
You're right. But Team Liara for life. I'm just going to throw that out there. Liara, best bae. What's up?
Oh, I've played the second one. I've romanced Miranda. In this one, right, I'm playing through the first one. I plan on romancing Liara.
I'm telling you right now, it has such a good payoff. Tally's also a good choice. I don't feel like there's a bad choice between Tally and Liara. I just like... I like the outcome if you don't romance Tally. There's a certain outcome that I personally really like. Just to like piggyback off of it, like playing these games, I streamed them with my wife, and we like made the decisions together. And like she like got to see a piece of me that like I grew up with these games. They were coming out like while I was in high school. Mass Effect 2 came out my junior year, and I remember playing it and talking to the detention teacher about like our different decisions, and like straight up like went through like a month of detention just talking about Mass Effect, and it was like the dopest shit. It was just such a moment. And then
I've never met somebody that has positive detention memories.
The only I'm still friends with the guy.
Didn't get detention. He would just show up to talk to the
people. Bro, I barely walked. The amount of detention I had to do for being late to classes. But just the like playing through it again and like realizing this is good storytelling. Like, you know, like they're masters of their craft. Like first the Knights of the Old Republic, and then this game, like truly, like they are a one of a kind studio when it comes to these narrative driven games.
Right.
What's up?
Oh yeah, we're all talking Mass Effect stuff right now. Josh, Dragon Age is the same way.
I haven't played Dragon Age but from all accounts it is just as good.
Right.
I've only played the first one, but Dragon is very good. I'm excited. I'm gonna play the newest one soon.
I'm gonna run through them, but I'm more of a sci-fi guy than a high fantasy. But I'm still gonna play them all.
Same.
This trilogy did get me so fucking excited for the KOTOR remake, and I'm like,
yeah.
do I just buy the Xbox backwards compatible versions and
Yes.
play them
No.
now, or do I wait?
Yes.
Do I wait
Yes,
till
because they're gonna be
PS5,
completely different
all the
games.
bells and whistles?
Yeah, that is actually true. They're going to be
They're
different
gonna be
games.
completely different games.
Yeah.
I highly recommend
We
playing.
have no idea what the new Knights of the Republic is going to be like and how much it's going to stick to that original one. So I do think it is worth at least playing the first one.
It's gonna be like 7 remake, and I say wait till it goes to PS4 for the trophies because it will go to PS4.
Josh, continue on this because this is going to be a long podcast. We got to keep it going. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say I'm excited for KOTOR based on what I played of these games, and these games are great. And you should play.
To put a pin in my thought, playing through the third game, I know it's controversial. I really like the third game. I think there's moments, no spoilers, but like in the last mission, we'll say you have a moment where you're talking to members of your team who have been there all 3 games, and like I'm gonna get choked up talking about it, but just like the moments that you have with like Garrus and other people who, depending on who like survived or not, like really is like just the pinnacle of writing for me. And it's one of my top franchises of all time, and I cannot wait to see what this reboot franchise is going to be.
Right. 3 did have me crying in the club quite a bit.
Right, dude. And then like the DLC to all the game, like the DLC for 2 leading right up to 3, and then 3 having the like explaining some of like the Leviathan shit, and then like the Citadel being the send off, and it like I know some people think it overstays its welcome. I loved every single second of it, and I could have like I didn't want it to end, but anyway, that's it.
Cry in a club in 3. You literally do.
I did.
All right, Chris, what's your number 3?
Number 3 game of the year goes to Deathloop.
Nice.
I have it at number 3 because I played it on PC because I did not yet have a PlayStation 5. And wowie zowie, are there a lot of performance issues on the PC version of the game? At the time, I haven't played it since launch. I've heard it's better now. So, but you got to understand, it's like when I played it, it was October, and that was just the experience I had. But a really, really unique story, really extremely unique game mechanic, like this really cool PvE kind of thing going on. That's really, really neat. Great performances, better than I expected. Gunplay, just coming from that studio and seeing like the trailers, and it looked a little wonky. And initially, it kind of does because it's got that sort of like first-person RPG style with like it's got that sort of like Dishonored, Fallout, like not quite FPS, but not quite RPG. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. I've always loved games that sort of reward you for kind of going a little out the wayside a little bit. And there are so many things. It reminds me of Breath of the Wild in that it's like you can kind of look at a situation and be like, okay, well, what if I go this direction instead of like the way it clearly wants me to go? And then there's some kind of payoff for that because they thought of everything. You know, it's like even if I try going over here and doing this thing, it's like, there's a reward for that. I also kind of have it a little lower. I actually didn't mind the ending spoilers, but it does kind of show you how to get like the perfect loop at the end. You don't really figure it out yourself. Like after you do a bunch of objectives, the game kind of tells you how to do it.
Oh, I figured it out. Did it just tell you?
It told me.
After a certain point, there's a cutscene where once you get like
where Cole figured it out himself.
Damn.
And then my objective screen was like, okay, here's how to do the perfect loop, and I went, oh. I was like, oh.
See, I had figured it. I got that cutscene, but I figured it out like myself before then.
Yeah, I got the cutscene because admittedly, I spent a lot of runs. I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go fucking fuck around.
Right.
You know, I'm just gonna go
Same.
dig around. I'm gonna try a few different things and see how it works. And then yeah, eventually, I did almost felt like the game kind of got sick of my shit. They're like, oh hey, here's how you beat it. Stop messing
Mhm.
around. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
relax.
that should have been like an optional thing. Like it should have been warning before it started. Like this is gonna give you like the perfect loop or whatever. Do you want that? And if you hit no, they should have like had like the same concept of cutscene but change the wording or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it would have been
Mhm.
nice to have the option to not have the game spell it out for me. But also, it's like I know some people were really, really upset about it, but I was just like, all right, cool, because then I kind of get to
Mhm.
sit down and play it and just kind of be done with it and
Yeah.
go on. But I thought it was a great art style, really kick-ass soundtrack. Um, after you get a few hours in, once you get the ability to start like keeping things from runs, like
Mhm.
it hits like this really cool roguelike kind of thing to where you can like the whole mechanic of choosing, okay, well, I'm going to hold on to these items so I can carry them on into my next run, but while still having like this really cool like continual narrative that
Mhm.
is just it's a fascinating concept, really really cool idea, and I think they pulled it off really really well.
Because I'm a dum dum, I love that they just told me because I was not there. I
Mhm.
was miles away. I was kind of getting there, I
I
guess,
wasn't
but
anywhere close, but
no,
then like, hey, here you
no, no.
go. I'm like,
Also,
oh,
there was the thing. I don't remember what did it, but I had like a perk where like poison gas didn't affect me. Okay, like that was a
yeah,
thing
Oh
that I had,
yeah.
and I forgot I equipped this. Right. Okay. So I wiped my thing and just did a whole new like makeup, and then I go into the same thing that I've done 1,000 times, and the poison gas kills me, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like I was so mind fucked by that, and it took me a solid like 25 minutes to figure out how to not die. Because
oh
I had
Oh my
run through this
gosh.
so many times without realizing I
I
had
know
that
where
perk
you're
before.
talking about. I know exactly where
yeah,
you're
I think
And I'm
talking
like,
about
I
because
think
what
I
the
know
hell
where
is
you're at too.
happening?
That's so funny.
I made a run specifically to figure out like that loop to get through because I didn't have like the relic or whatever, like the shard that you get to like not have poison kill you until like way late in the game. And so like when I finally got it, I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out what the fuck that little thing is.
Yep. So I was just dumbfounded for a long
But,
time.
but yeah, definitely try not to spoil anything story wise for that because I
Yeah.
do think it is absolutely worth like going
You
in
you brought
and
up
knowing as little as possible.
you brought up like the VO. Like I did not expect to like Colt as much as I did. Like I loved his little quirky one-liners about like the things we were in. He was interpreting the story in a way that I wasn't personally. So I
Yeah.
liked his lens on the story. Like I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
The back and forth between Colt and the antagonist, whose name I
Juliana.
can't remember. Thank you,
Juliana.
Juliana. I thought was really really fascinating, and also a lot of the characters like the targets have like just really really great dialogue too.
Oh
Although
yeah.
it does kind of eventually devolve down into like fuck you, you're so
Yeah.
fucking stupid, and I was like
Yeah.
okay, but
I was say real quick, just like because I didn't have it in my top 3, I just wanted to say like I love the fact too that when Juliana would invade your world, if it was other players, like then because they came in with their own loadout. But if you
Mhm.
killed
yeah,
Juliana, you got to keep those weapons. So like
you got their stuff.
I had a gun for the whole game. That was as long as I was doing damage, I was getting healed. And I got that
Oh,
like
Shout out
nice.
early on in the game.
Damn.
shout out to one its brother Grimbo for supplying me with a really really nice sniper rifle after I put his ass down.
Nice.
It's such a
That's
cool
also how
mechanic
I got
though.
the sniper.
Like you can be doing a run and going about your business. You have all these things planned, and then all of a sudden you hear that musical cue that says they're there, and you're just like, "Fuck!" Like,
Yeah. No, I had that
no.
I had that so many times where like I had just completed the perfect run. I had all of this fresh information to go back with, and then I hear the siren and I'm like 300 feet away from the door and I'm like, you son of a bitch. And then you just have to like play hide and seek until you figure out where they're at, and then you're like, all right, now how do I kill them?
I'm a little bit
I
Yeah.
think
silly.
one of them is
I'm just
always
like,
like sitting like right in front of the point that you have to like
Yeah.
Oh
the
yeah.
alarm point.
mhm.
I got lucky one time and she just went and killed the girl or like went and messed with her and she like blew up the island. There's that like one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Deathloop was my number 2. Y'all got me pegged as a basic person. As somebody who didn't really click with what was the series they did prior to
Dishonored.
this? Dishonored. I played the first one, played the second one, made it about halfway through both of them, and it just like wasn't sinking in. This one finally clicked, and I did find the gameplay, like everything Chris said, I totally agree with. I played it on PS5, so I didn't have those issues. I feel bad for Chris because it ran beautifully. And I was actually,
it's fine now.
Yeah, I actually
I
was
won't-
wishing I was playing it on PC until you told me how broken it was, and so like you kind of saved me from buying it twice.
With it.
Yeah.
I won't stand for this Dishonored slander. Well, Punk.
I did.
Dope.
I didn't say it was bad. I said it didn't click with me. Like the
Yeah,
second
good.
game, like I recognized. Is it the Clockwork Tower?
Oh, the
Yeah.
Clockwork Mansion is.
I made it
Mansion.
past that.
So good.
It's the coolest thing like in video games almost ever, like level design wise.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
fucking dope.
I played through that mission, so like I'm low key might have burned myself out on the game because I played through that mission and I can't remember if I had like a USB with like like that I was saving to, but I just kept going back and replaying that mission and I was having so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, you basically played the best part of that game anyway.
Oh, 100%.
I mean,
There's another thing where there's some kind of time mechanic that I really enjoyed, where you're like going through 2 different phases of time to get to whatever. That was cool.
the Titanfall 2 thing, but yeah, it's Deathloop, very cool game.
Yeah, I would say because I played both Dishonored games, and Deathloop was the one for me that finally clicked because I said this in one of our earlier podcasts of like the what you've been watching plan. That Dishonored, they say that you can tackle it any way you want, but they really mean they want you to stealth through it.
Yes.
Deathloop, you can literally do it any way you want, guns blazing or stealth, and I love that approach that you can do a hybrid of the two and. You can
in the comments.
Here was the thing. There was one. There's one weapon you can get very early on in the game. That is, it's like the first gun you're given in the game is like this automatic pistol, basically, right? Like an SMG almost.
I thought it was the nail gun.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Maybe, but
either way,
an early weapon in the game is like this SMG kind of thing. You can get a silenced one like 5 minutes into the game. You got to finagle it a little bit, but it can be done. I just kind of found it by accident. It's the best gun in the game.
Yeah,
like it's the best gun in the game. It completely destroyed my playthrough of it because the stealth with that gun was hilariously broken.
Oh wow, I didn't get that gun until late, so that was completely.
You can get it
different.
on your first on the run where you learn how to retain items. You can get that pistol. And so it tells you to retain like this other one, but I just retained the silenced one and I broke the entire game because of it. It was amazing.
Damn.
It's incredible.
In the comments, I want to know what everybody's favorite like specialty weapon was and also what your favorite shard was. My favorite specialty weapon was the 2 pistols that would snap together and create like an SMG. Yeah. That was the dopest shit. When I saw Blessing using it on a clip or something and I was like, I have to find that. And so I immediately went to IGN to figure out where it was. My favorite shard, however, was probably the teleport or the invisibility.
Teleport, yeah.
Those were the 2 I used the most.
Yeah.
Teleport
I did like the Link one. I just didn't use it as often.
The Link,
except for stealth. It was super dope for stealth.
I don't. It's been too long for me. I don't remember. But I was a sneaky little bitch boy when I played this game. I was just invisible and sneaking around the entire time. That was me.
I appreciate it.
I would stealth until somebody found me. And
then I panic.
I'm teleporting, guns blazing.
Yep.
100%.
Teleporting, throwing trip mines like behind your ass. Just
that's when I start Ramboing.
That's me every stealth game. It is a stealth game until I get caught, and then it is an action adventure game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Action adventure.
Then it's Uncharted.
All right, Jordan. What's your
Jordan?
So funny enough, my third one is also Deathloop, but it sounds like I have pretty different opinions than you guys as to why it's 3. So I liked that at the end they just told me what to do because I personally didn't look at the game as a puzzle game. The game had puzzles in it, but I didn't view the game as one giant puzzle. And one of the things that maybe is the reason I'm not too hot on it was, and also I remember me and you talking about this one time off camera, was in the, not necessarily the beginning, but kind of the middle-ish, it feels very, very overwhelming because you're just finding out information and adding missions to do, but the game isn't just being like, listen, all you have to do is fill out each of these bars until they merge. And so I thought that I was going to have to, take one of my walls here and do a full like red string shit and figure it all out. So I'm kind of happy that after you just kind of
Yeah, so let me clarify my point on that. Where it's like I like that it tells you how to do like the final loop. I'm a fan of that because I'm a big dumb, and I was at a point where I was not figuring out how to do it. I think my issue was that it felt like it was really sudden
Like forced upon
because
you
I could.
almost.
Because I was just kind of doing things. I wasn't. Admittedly, I wasn't really like following any sort of plan or doing a lot of events. I was
You
just
guys
kind of
weren't,
messing around
dude.
with
I was
various
going.
things to try and see how they reacted to each other and find new ways to get it to work. And then the game was like, "No, stupid. Here's how you do it."
Dude,
And so
at a
it
certain
felt
point, I
early.
started going from top to bottom, just working my way through them. Like, I want to see where this thread goes. Like, I would go offshoot, but I very much like I have this plan for this day. That is
but
so
that's the
crazy.
thing is that you couldn't because there were some things that would stop until you found out other information from a different event.
Then you would go up to that one and
yeah.
I felt like I never didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I definitely know what you're talking about with the overwhelming part. There was a moment where I had just taken a fat bong rip and opened up the game, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, here's 80.
no,
This is not the game to do that with."
no."
I will say that there was definitely effort into trying to strike a balance of here's the answer, and you can also find it out on your own. There was like I can acknowledge the attempt to do that. They didn't perfect that. I will say there was a little bit. It was a little off.
I think what would have been interesting is if there
it
were
just felt a little abrupt. Was all.
maybe if there were 2 or 3 different perfect loops. Like you could lead some person one place or another place depending on the action you do, and then kill them wherever you lead them to later in the loop. The other thing was like
I do like the idea of like 3 different perfect loops instead of just the one.
Well, not necessarily perfect, but because like, but different endings to the loop.
Yeah, there's like 3.
I don't mean endings. I mean the literal loops. Like if hypothetically, if there were 3 different ways to kill all the, what are they called?
Visionaries.
If there were 3 different ways to kill them all in one day, but the endings of the game were the same as the ones that we got, I'd be fine with that personally.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
The other thing is like, I thought the story was cool, but like what really kept me in was the gameplay. Like to me, this is a game where, and I'm normally more of a story guy with games, but this particular game, it's like the story wasn't necessarily something I cared about. The characters were cool, but at the end of the day, there was really just 2 characters. Everyone else is kind of just like the visionaries are all just kind of have one personality trait, and that's it.
The story,
which is fine.
The story to me was really just the concept of the game. Like the story to me was just the intrigue of those 2 characters interacting because of their situation. I will say that the story was intriguing enough. Like I was invested in the story just because it was so intriguing, but it ended with a whimper, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's more of the journey rather than the finishing point was why I enjoyed the story so much. And also like when they started this game, there had never been anything like this. Like there's been time loop games since, but like this is really the first of its kind. So like I think as like the first run, this is
2021.
That's the year of the loop.
It also it reminded me of Hades a lot of in the way that they managed to merge like the literal like gameplay mechanics into the narrative of the game and have it make sense and work so well together.
You got why Juliana was gunning for your ass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was cool. It was a really neat concept.
Absolutely. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, for me, gameplay was carrying that game more so than story.
Agreed.
Yeah, I still agree with that. I like the story, but the gameplay is why you play that game.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
The world is your oyster in that game.
Bret, what was your number 3?
So my number 3 is a game we beat 30 minutes ago called
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, I want to, just because of what happened at the Game Awards, if somebody mentions your Game of the Year before we're talking about Game of the Year, don't say anything.
Agreed.
Right? We don't want to spoil what is all of our Game of the Years before that like round. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Awesome.
Way to give it away. I'm just kidding.
No, I said this before we got to round 2, just in case.
Yeah, we already said Cyberpunk is his Game of the Year, right?
Cyberpunk 2077. It's coming back. It's coming back.
No, I played it recently. Does not run well still.
No.
Cyberpunk 2078, let's go.
Does not run well on my 3080, so does not bode well.
Didn't they have a partnership with Nvidia too? Like that's not good.
When I got my 3080, I think it was a 10 frame per second jump over my 3070, and I think now, like a year later, it's like another 5. So I'm getting like 100 frames a second. Like it does not. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So It Takes Two is my number 3. And I've said this to Alec like a billion times as we were playing it, but it's such a diverse game in terms of like the game mechanics that the game presents to you. The biomes are so diverse. It's such a well-crafted platformer. The story is very heartfelt. Yeah, it just was such a joy to play it, and because of the nature of the game, like you form a connection, a bond with your partner that you play it with, and so it was really awesome to experience that. Better late than never, but yeah, incredible game. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
Me and my partner are starting a playthrough of that game this weekend. Very excited after hearing you two say that. I'm very excited.
Amazing.
I had a blast with it. Like I was literally smiling the entire time. Like that game was just so much fun.
The mini games, I didn't even bring up the mini games yet. There's like 50 mini. I don't even know. There's so many mini games that just are like fun little vignettes of like just like literally me and Alec played chess for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like, chess in that game. I love it.
Who won?
It was crazy.
I did just because Bret ran out of time.
Yeah, we played the quick version, so I just ran out of time.
Gotcha.
I know. Yeah.
Queen's Gambit come out of you a little bit.
I wish.
I mean, I was more just like Bret. Like at one point, Bret himself did say, "Like, oh wait, we were being timed," and then I don't know if he just forgot, and like because he was because we were trying to get it done before this podcast.
Yeah,
so
Bret's game of the year, chess.
But there was just so many different like gameplay varieties in that. Like not even including the mini games, just like during the levels themselves.
Yeah, the platforming diversity. Yeah.
Like there's a Diablo segment in there.
Yeah. No two levels feel alike in that game, and it's incredible, and it's definitely like an honorable mention for me. But
so I have
same.
So I haven't played it yet. That's what I've been sitting on because I see a lot of people that like much like Chance who are like, yo, I'm waiting to I'm gonna sit down and play this with my partner, and it's like Brittany plays games, but not like a crazy amount of games. Like you play Mario and Animal Crossing, and she's like, I'm a Super Nintendo girl. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I mean, it's platforming.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is like, do you think like is it like pretty accessible as far as like, go?
Somebody asked us that today, Alec, and it's super accessible. Like it's not a tough game. The checkpoints are super.
Don't they have a button mash mode too, where you can just press any button and it does what you need it to?
Maybe.
So
I know A Way Out did.
So to answer your question, one of my homies, just the guy that just built his PC, he's been playing it with his wife, and they're like 9 hours in, and she does not play games, and she is getting through it. So I think Brittany wouldn't have an issue with it.
Okay, yeah, cool, yeah, because Brittany plays games, so she'll probably be all right.
Same with my fiance, and my fiance is always just like, "Can we play a game like It Takes Two? Like every other game we try to play."
Gosh.
He just wants that high of playing It Takes Two. So like that's high praise from my fiance.
Sidebar on A Way Out.
Wait, hold on. Let Austin finish that thought. I wanted to.
No, it's gone. It's gone.
Oh,
now.
sorry.
My bad. I was on the EA store the other day on Origin, and I saw the cover art for A Way Out. I did not realize that Joseph Ferris made himself the character.
Yes.
Baller move.
Yeah.
So it's Joseph Ferris,
it's
Joseph Ferris, the up and coming Kojima, because I have a feeling he's the up and coming Kojima.
Oh, yeah.
Like the next, like really innovative.
He's indie Kojima.
For sure. Okay, I was getting that vibe, and I just wanted to make sure I was
multiplayer Kojima, who's also like, let's be honest, guys, he's really hot.
He's really hot, and like I want to be with that.
100%.
Yeah.
Also, I remember my last point. It's not super important, but Chris, you were just wondering because you brought up Super Mario and like that. This game feels like a Nintendo game. Like this game feels like Mario 110%, in my personal opinion.
Hell yeah.
There's an Easter egg in this game
with divorce.
that transforms it to game of the year contender. That's
Really?
all. Yes. We were playing and we are like, whoa. Crazy, dude.
Blew our minds.
Crazy. Yeah.
Hashtag
Is it like
Party
in your?
Taxers.
Will I miss it, or is it like
You can
apart?
miss it.
You
can
can miss it. Yes.
Will you guys DM me what level it's on?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a person that doesn't like. I want to know so I don't miss the thing.
Yeah, if you just like are thorough in the game, you'll probably find it. But we can DM you.
There's also I'll be remiss if I don't mention this. There's a mini game called like Laser Pong or something, and that thing is fun as hell. I loved playing that. It's so good.
Mhm.
I could just like log on to this game and be like, yeah, let's play mini games for like hours.
Is there do they have it where you can play all the mini games from like a menu?
Yeah.
Once you discover them, they're like there for you.
Okay, cool.
It Takes Two Party.
Seriously, dude.
Right?
Seriously.
Takes Two Party.
Oh.
I love the achievement for being the game. It took two.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, nice.
I just thought it was like cool. Just like
We'll forever be mad that the Life is Strange sequel is not called Life is Too Strange.
Yeah.
I should go next then because my number 3 game is Life is Strange: True Colors.
Also, my number 3 game has already been talked about.
Yep.
Okay.
Life is Strange: True Colors.
Yes, that is my number 3 game of the year. I just put Life game. I didn't mean to write that. Whatever. Life is Strange: True Colors is easily like the best Life is Strange game. Like Life is Strange usually like the knocks it gets is like there's way too many cringy moments and like kind of like technical hiccups and stuff. Those things they're not in this game at all, I would add. And like some people get like weird moments with like the DMCA music or whatever like that. It didn't bother. There was literally one time where like the main character Alex, who honestly got screwed out of like best performance on the Game Awards. I really think Alex Chen is like the best character in the series, and that the person who played her do the VO just absolutely knocked it out of the park. She's super relatable. She's down to earth in a way that not down to earth. We're like, oh wow, I can relate, but she's down to earth. Like you just understand her. I mean, she's an empath, but she expresses herself in a way that you're following. You're along for the ride the entire time without having to question many things because she just makes decisions that you think you would in that situation. And in this game, there's a freaking like D&D level where you go through a bunch of weird like tabletop stuff, and it's really fun.
oh, that's
missed
cool.
it. I missed an entire story beat because during this like tabletop section, which it takes place in the entire town, they do like a tabletop thing of the town to like help this young boy who's struggling with like some stuff. And I just missed an entire like really big story beat because I was too busy playing the damn tabletop thing. Like I just didn't do it because I was having too much fun doing the main thing. I was pissed about that. But I don't want to spend too much time on it because I've talked about it before. But this is the best Life is Strange game easily, like by far. And like I don't think there's any cringe. And in my opinion, that's like the biggest knock against it from what people would say. So Life is Strange: True Colors, it's dope.
It's dope.
I've almost bought it because Epic, during their holiday sale, they had gave people a $10 off coupon. So I was debating between either that or Far Cry 6. I'm like, during this lull of game releases, I'm like, I picked up Far Cry 6.
I did the same thing.
And a big part about games for me is like the moments that I will remember. Like the game can be lackluster, but if it has a moment that like you'll name like a person's name and like that pops in my head and I get like all like emotional. Life is Strange has that at the end. Like I love that moment. It's a like hallmark. Maybe that's not the right word. Not hallmark, but it's like the epitome of this game is that final scene, and it kills you. It's so well done at the end.
Yeah, Hallmark doesn't sell me on it.
I was just gonna say.
I said it. I was like,
Alex
why
Chen
should I
works
play
in the big city,
why
but she comes
should
to
I
this
play
town
this
and
game?
learns the meaning of Christmas.
That's me when I'm writing a review and I write it and I immediately just like, nope, backspace. Nope, wrong one. Backspace.
Yep. All right. Well, my number 3 is a game I actually beat over this past weekend. It's Inscription.
Nice.
So
yes,
it's so good.
On Bo's list.
Cool. I wish he was here so we could try to talk about it without avoiding spoilers because this is a game you do not want to. You want to go in knowing anything about.
I won't tell you where it is on Bo's list, but I did want to bring it up just because he was not here. He did give me a list. I will give you Bo's third
Rest in peace.
once we get there. But RIP,
Yeah.
We'll miss him forever.
Yep.
Dead
Killed
because
by a bear.
No, I thought Chris killed him to get the sniper.
That's right.
Hey, call back.
But
I did what
this
I
game,
had to.
Yep.
yeah, this game, it is. I mean, the first when you boot into it, it starts off as just like a deck builder. Which, if you're not, and it's a deck builder, it's also like it's more of a creepy game, not a scary game. Like I'm not a horror genre fan, so if you know I can make it through it, you can make it through it. So, just there's a demo on Steam. Please give it a try because it is. Oh, I want to talk about it, but I know I can't because I don't want to spoil anything.
The entire team at
appreciate it.
6-1. The entire team at 6-1 love this game. Like this is like definitively pretty much their game of the year for for like indie games this year. It's deck builder and an escape room in like the creepiest freaking way, but the way
Yes.
that you're like, I want to get out of here, but
Escape
I'm also kind of really intrigued with this character that I only see his eyes for the
Yep.
majority of the game, and yeah, it's really intriguing.
But this game, it is best if you do not know, if you go in knowing as little as possible. So that's why I'm trying to like say
It's
it.
another it's another thing like Deathloop where like I don't think there's anything like this. Like it's very unique.
And
Yeah.
that's why it rose up through my top 10 because originally this was just an honorable mention on my top 10 list just because I hadn't finished the game. But after playing it all this weekend, it's just like, yeah, there was not a game like it this year or honestly ever. So, all right, circling back. Oh no, we got Bo, right?
Bo's third game is Monster Hunter Rise.
Ooh.
Of course it is.
Which I've played a little bit of, so I can kind of speak to it. Monster Hunter Rise was kind of a big shakeup in the Monster Hunter series, just in the way that they streamline everything, which was really nice. Made it so you essentially it's like there's less prep that you really need to do for monsters. It's less of a hassle to get people together. It's less of a hassle to go find monsters and travel around the world. It's they really simplified it isn't necessarily the word because it is still I think a
Streamlined,
very deep game, but it is extremely streamlined game. Yeah, and I think like if you were ever curious about Monster Hunter, Rise is the best place to kind of get into it. I've played a handful of Monster Hunter games before, and I was never like super in love with this one. I put like 80 something hours into Rise. I really enjoyed it. Because I would just load up with my friend Sam and we would just grind like killing a couple monsters over and over again because it's like Papa needs a new pair of boots, let's go kill a dragon, like and that's really the gameplay loop of the game to where it's like, hey, there's new monster out there that you can turn into armor. You kill it once, you can make one piece of armor. It's like, cool. I got to kill it 8 more times to get a full set of armor, and they're like, sweet. Now I have a new set of armor. Oh look, there's a new monster out there to turn into armor, and then you just do that forever and ever and ever, and it's awesome.
It's like Mama wants a new wallet. Get the pickaxe or whatever you're trying to axe.
Absolutely. But it's a fun game. All the same. It's like if you were ever curious about like trying Monster Hunter, I believe Rise has a demo. And so you can download that and kind of give it a shot and see if that vibe is for you. Although I will tell you, I mean, it lets you play like the first few hours of the game. But that is kind of the game to where it's like you probably need to progress a little bit to really get into why that game is so cool. But still, give it a shot, I think. It's fun.
What game isn't made better by a hookshot?
Before we continue, Chance, you did mention that you already said your second game, right? I'm just clarifying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deathloop. Or no. Yeah, Deathloop.
Yeah. You said that was your number 2.
Yep.
All right. Josh.
What? Bret. Josh, I mean, sorry. I was looking at Josh.
Oh. Nothing. I gotta go Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for number 2. There isn't a game I played this year with as much just heart and character as this game. From like it's built into every aspect of the game, from the story and the themes it has, and the characters, to the levels. Each level feels unique and just its own, and it has cool gameplay mechanics like switching between different universes and experiencing the levels through those different ways. And then the weapons. Insomniac just knows how to make a good weapon wheel and just fill them with the best weapons. They did in Sunset Overdrive, and my god, they did in Ratchet & Clank 2016, and they're doing it here again. You have a
Mr. Fun
pinball,
Guy.
Mr. Fun Guy, literally like a mushroom with a big ass fro, just helps you out. The Headhunter, something like the ping pong ball, where it just like bing bing and just like takes down dudes with you. Also, I feel like this is the best, one of the best experiences you can have on the PlayStation 5. In terms of just the incredible load times, being able to go to different levels so seamlessly, and within the snap of the finger, as well as like the adaptive triggers to swap between alt fire and stuff like that. That just really just utilizes the DualSense incredibly well, and it's just fantastic. If you haven't played it, please play it.
What was the gun?
Some of us don't have PlayStation 5s.
Haha, loser.
I wish I could. I wish I could have played
like
it.
A you problem.
What was the gun per se that like turned people into like bushes? Because I just threw that thing at.
Yeah, a spring. Yeah,
I love that thing.
Right.
This game sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could have played it, but
oof.
I'll say the mechanic of the alternate fire between this and Returnal, because it was pretty much identical, was so cool. The way it's like you like held it in like partial way to like do the primary fire, and you pull the trigger all the way in to do the like the alternate fire.
You're heavy or you're alt.
Yeah, which before the DualSense never could have been possible. Which is
100%
so cool.
As someone who completed this game and is more like leaning towards like creative writing and the story, I thought it was a very brave decision to basically just make another Ratchet. Essentially, I don't remember their names.
Absolutely.
It was like Kit and
Rivet.
Thank you. Rivet is the perfect name, by the way. I love that.
Oh yeah.
It's super apt. Love it. But it took balls to do that, and I think it could have easily went wrong, where it could have just been like, she's the exact opposite of Ratchet, blah blah blah, and it wasn't that at all. And I loved Rivet. I think I enjoyed playing as Rivet and Kit more than I played as Ratchet and Clank. But that's just me. It was also like an unknown quantity to me. I've played Ratchet and Clank before, like the older games, Upper Arsenal, something like that. Dope name.
Right.
I played that one.
The best
one. The sequel names in the original for not trilogy, because there was 4 on the PS2, but like they just have the
Going Commando.
Going Commando and Up Your Arsenal is just
incredible.
Great innuendos, because I also remember like being 8 thinking it was so hardcore that on the back of one of them it says we're ready to kick some, and it's an @ sign and $2 signs because they didn't want to put ass on the back of a kid's game.
They knew what they were doing. But yeah, the writing in that game, in my opinion, is like way better than it has any right to be, in my personal opinion. And it looks beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, it literally looks like a Pixar movie come to life. You can see every hair on Rivet and Ratchet, and yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And for a franchise that's as old as it is to still be here in 2021 and like reinventing the wheel of the franchise and bringing in new elements like Rivet and Kit is absolutely incredible. Plus, if you're a fan of all the old games, there's alternate universe versions of all the characters, which it's incredible. Incredible. Alternate Captain Quark. I've never laughed so hard at a bit in a video game. It's great.
I would be remiss not to mention this. There's a Sly Cooper Easter egg in this game, and like you can like find it in like some of the collectible file stuff. And I didn't find that myself because that's just not how I play games. I don't go looking for that stuff all that much. But when I found out that was a thing, you bet your ass this went from like an 8 to a 9. Like I'm telling you right now.
100%. And
isn't there a whole like multiverse gun or something that pulls in objects from other games?
Easter egg gun or something like that.
Like you can get like the fucking like dinosaurs horizon and shit.
It's like called the Rhino. So you have to get the 5 pieces in different, like you do in every Ratchet and Clank game.
Right.
Basically the mega ultimate crazy gun.
And the only way to get like you increase your chances of getting the multiversal like little PlayStation Easter eggs the more you level the gun up.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Which was something I had mixed feelings
Horizon,
about.
Final Fantasy, I think Spider-Man was in there or something like that. Like there's like some cool stuff.
There's an Uncharted one, I think, as well.
Rad.
Right.
And then
I think like the car from Uncharted 4 just comes and drops down on a motherfucker.
Okay.
Dope.
Ooh, that's incredible.
I'll say another shout out to Insomniac for making just amazing trophy lists too. Literally the last 3 Insomniac games with Rift Apart and then both Spider-Man games I've platinumed, and I don't platinum games all that often, so
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And I think this game is a testament to that. Like, those old PlayStation 2 franchises can work in the PS5 era. So just bring back Sly, you fucking cowards. Bring back Sly Cooper and bring back Jack and Daxter, you motherfuckers, I swear. But yeah, play Rift Apart.
Daxter 2.
I may legitimately have a heart attack on a podcast if they bring
Sly
back
Cooper
Sly
If they
Everything.
did that,
If
yeah,
it's like
oh
a
my
reaction
God.
and they bring
I'm a
back
live
Sly.
reaction.
Yes, I'll
Yeah.
just fall over and I won't get up.
Yeah, we'll cry.
That'll
It'll
just
be
kill
incredible.
Austin.
Are we allowed to
Never even get to see
monetize
the
your
game.
death?
Oh my God, that's don't say that. No, I take it back.
We're making mad
He
profit.
survives the heart attack just to play the game.
Yeah.
In a hospital bed.
I love it.
All right, Chris, what's your number 2?
My number 2 game of the year is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Now, let's walk this one back a little bit, shall we? To E3 2020. When did they
21,
Square
actually.
Enix?
21.
21. Oh yeah, it was this year. Fuck me. Or
Technically
last
last
year.
year.
Whatever. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Jordan.
Time has no meaning.
Either way, previous E3 is what I'm getting at. Square
Mhm.
Enix conventions, whatever they called it, the online thing. It was weird. They open up the show. They're like, "Yo, check out this new Guardians of the Galaxy game coming out," and I'm like, "Did Square Enix publish Avengers?" You know,
Mhm.
and they start showing it, and I think all of our reactions was like, "Hey, this actually looks really rad. Like the
Yeah.
art style is cool." When we found out that you just play as Peter Quill and you're kind of commanding like your teammates around, and you get that cool like Mass Effect vibe of kind of like putting together the relationships with your team, I was like, that's a really really unique thing. And for months, it felt like we were kind of the only ones that felt like we were looking forward to it. Everyone's like, yeah, Guardians, like whatever, and
Yeah.
I was like, I think it looks cool, and that was kind of the stance of Shared Screens was, yeah, Guardians looks like it's gonna be cool.
Yep.
And then it came out, and I played it. I was excited for it, and it was still better than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
The graphic
Also-
quality, that might be the best looking video game I've ever played in my life.
It looks way better than I expected. I stan his hair. I don't give a damn. I like his
yeah.
hair. I'm
Oh,
all about
yeah.
it.
Absolutely.
I saw so many like negative comments
Mhm.
about his hair. I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. I love it.
Yes.
I thought he was perfect. In fact, I'd say I'd go so far as to say is like Peter Quill is like the best part of the game.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's visually one of the best looking games I've ever seen in my life. The writing quality is through the roof.
This
The
game
performances of all the characters is incredible.
this game had no
Mhm.
right being like that like
As
Yes.
good as it is.
through line and made sense and went through all these character moments and like impeccable. It was extremely
Yeah.
impressive
It's
to balance
crazy.
that all
It's
out.
crazy. And in fact, I'd go so far as to say it's like the weakest part of the game is kind of the combat, and I don't find the combat to be bad.
Yeah.
Like it's
Right.
still
Combat's
fun.
great.
Just repetitive would be the
It's a
is
little repetitive towards the end.
Mhm.
They go
But
places
I
with Star-
enjoyed it.
They go places with Star-Lord that I expected like a little half off, like this happened, and that never talk about again. And that when they went to these places and talked to these characters, and you see these characters, like the way the game starts off when it's like your kid Star-Lord in his room, loved that. But
Yeah.
like initially, I was like, oof, this could go wrong so easily. Like I've seen the story, like I understand what's gonna happen. And they took it a direction that I didn't expect, and they nailed it. And then they brought in the Cosmo dog, and I'm like, this game of the year. Like,
Yep.
it's not my game of the year.
Absolutely, we love
Yeah.
Cosmo,
Yeah.
bestest boy.
Guardians of the
Mhm.
Galaxy.
For the record, Guardians of the Galaxy is my number 2 as well.
Hell yeah, and
Nice.
it's like honestly, I don't think it's any secret what my number 1 is. I won't spoil it, I suppose. But I mean, if that game hadn't come out, Guardians of the Galaxy would be my game of the year. Just because I was so blown away at the quality of the characters, the performances, the writing, the music, the graphics, like all of it, and it kind of did that thing that PS4 like 2018 Spider-Man did for me, to where that became my favorite version of Peter Parker. That's my favorite interpretation of Spider-Man. This is my favorite interpretation of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
Yep,
it's
same.
it's unreal what they did there, and I still feel like there's not enough people talking about this game.
Or like
It's incredible.
the fact that the fans of the game actually like appreciate the movie characters and the game characters as different interpretations of the same character and
Yeah.
like them for different reasons. The fact they were able to do that is a testament to the writing and just like the way that they were able to tell this story.
I love the
Although shout out to the movie costumes being in the game and looking very, very good.
Like
Yeah.
Drax Drax's
movie Drax looks crazy in this game, dude.
Yeah.
The banter in this game, I never got tired of it. I never got tired of arguing with Rocket about literally anything. Rocket, I was like, I'm starting to dislike Rocket, and then they turn around. But like, I was like, this is getting almost too
initially,
far,
yeah, I was to the
but
point where I
enjoyed it.
was like, Rocket, you're getting on my nerves, but that was kind of the point.
Yeah.
Like it's just brilliantly done, and it reminded me of in like a good few ways. I don't think it's as deep as something like Mass Effect, but there is kind of like shades of like influences of Mass Effect there, just in the way that you interact with the characters and the way that there are some almost like Witcher-esque like story choices in the game that will most of it kind of affects side things. I don't think there's anything crazy that will like super matter to like the main storyline of the thing. But I remember talking with Alec, and this is I'm not going to talk much about the story of the game because it is worth going into, but it's very it's like a little like side quest spoiler thing, if you will. There is a point where you get to nowhere in the game, which also nowhere looks incredible.
Yeah. I literally played that part today.
It's the coolest video game environment I've ever seen. And it's like leading up to that point, there's a point where you have a fine. You can choose like to pay it off or just go blow the money while you're at nowhere. You can find somebody in a bar that you interact with who, if you're nice to person, he'll give you a ticket to go into the collector's museum. And it's just Easter Egg City in the collector's museum. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy what kind of stuff is there.
You missed it?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying was I was like, yo, how cool
because I paid the
was
fine,
the collector's museum? Because I was talking to Alec about it. And he was like, "Oh, I paid the fine." He's like, "I couldn't get a ticket." I was like, "Oh, I got a ticket from this person." And
I paid.
He goes, "You can do that?" And I was like, "That's so cool!" Like he had a completely different experience in the same part of the game as I did.
I think I did both somehow. I think I paid the fine and saw that room or the museum. I don't know.
Yeah, because you can either buy a ticket to it. It's not crazy expensive to buy a ticket, or
you can't do
with
both
with this person in the bar who will give you a ticket in. But if you pay the fine and don't get the ticket from the person, then you just can't get in. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But things like that, and there's lots of those little things like throughout the entire game that is really, really neat. That makes me want to go back and play it again and just choose completely different things.
Same.
And see how different the entire game is.
I have to go back because I want the platinum for this game, but you can't go back and just get the collectibles that you missed through the story through the level select. So I'm like, I'm gonna wait till I want to play this game again to go through and like I'll have a guide pulled up since I already know the game and played through it all. And
for those who played, did you guys get like this is kind of a spoiler, not really, the early game over?
Yes.
Because I did, and I was like,
I didn't understand what was being asked. I don't feel like.
But then I will absolutely not say what the moment is because it's very late in the game. But there is an early game over, and I didn't understand what it wanted of me. And then when it hit game over,
at the end.
Yeah,
kind of
during a sort of vision sequence, if you will. But I didn't understand what it was asking of me, and there's a point where it's like game over, and then I sat there and I went, "Oh no, I know what it wants me to do," and it's heartbreaking. So good, just a fantastic way of having the gameplay and the narrative totally complement each other. Because the game tells you it's like, it kind of hits. It's like, hey, you to do this thing, but you can't. Or actually, you can, and my brain was dumb because video games aren't usually like, hey, do thing. Not especially this sort of thing. It's hard to talk about it without spoiling it.
Especially in a big
right now, so I'm not going to. But it's you got to play this game. It's so good.
Yeah. It's a must play.
Did you get it, Jordan?
I think
that's the one.
But so it's actually my second choice as well. I don't know what can be said that we haven't already said. I will say I do think like when Insomniac announced Spider-Man PS4, everyone kind of expected like this is gonna be great, and so we all went in with like this is gonna be fantastic. Like there was something about the initial reveal. I do think that like Chris said, this Guardians is to Spider-Man, like is to the Guardians kind of franchise and characters what Spider-Man PS4 is, but nobody was expecting that. But because we talked so much good stuff about it, I'll say the only reason it's not number one for me is there are small technical issues with it that, while not game breaking, I think are obvious enough that did knock it down for me, because when I think game of the year, I'm trying to think of the best from every aspect. Maybe some stuff that just happened to me, but
I had a couple issues during flying segments on PC.
I had a weird one today where Gamora walked through half a level with a sword in her hand. I made it to nowhere and she's just sprinting with her.
I've had it a couple times where everyone had like their weapons like glued to their hands.
Yeah,
like their fingers are open and the weapons are still there, and so I was like, I'm gonna read.
She's like patting me on the back with a sword out. I'm like, what the hell's happening?
There were also moments where the subtitles didn't match what they actually said, so I don't think the subtitles were up to date to the final script. Which is just kind of like, come on.
There was one moment
I see that in a lot of games though, so it didn't bother me all that much.
I don't know exactly what happened, but if you go into photo mode at specific moments, their body just becomes mush. And I don't know how else to explain it. You like if you come out of photo mode, they look fine. They look maybe a little disproportionate, but like they look like people. Then you go into photo mode and their body just contorts to like their polygonal shapes, and they just look like they don't look like you're human anymore. It's kind of funny.
They look like a thing from The Expanse.
I have a clip somewhere.
Yeah. I do
also want to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just like, I don't think every version of the Guardians is better than the movie version. I think that of Drax. I think that of Mantis.
Mantis in the game is amazing.
Mantis in this game, like Drax, I feel like the MCU could do him this way. They have just chosen not to hit those points with him.
They're very similar.
This version of Mantis, I like significantly more.
Oh yeah.
And like she doesn't play a major role, so like, but like I still won't spoil anything. But there's a moment where she says something, and the way that she reacts to it is just it's so good in like a way that's like I like you. Like there's something about this.
I constantly was laughing every time she was on screen. She was just constantly like so. Just because we're talking about it, it is one of my honorable mentions. Guardians is. Sorry, just
no, it's okay.
So I don't have it on my top 3, personally because I got like I really felt like it overstayed its welcome. I felt like the point that Chris is talking about, I thought after I fixed that decision, we are at the end. This feels totally correct. And then there's like 5 more hours.
Yeah, and it's a little too long.
I love the length, but it's a little long. It is a little long.
That's the only reason it got knocked down and why. And to be perfect,
I think it was just they do that thing that a lot of games do to where like you're at the end of the game, right? You're in what is very clearly like the final place you're gonna be in, and then it's like, here's every enemy type from across the game ever. Yeah. And it's like, this fight is going to take me like half an hour just to get through it. And they kept throwing those at you. And then they kind of returned to the king a little bit. And it's like, it ended. No, it didn't. Here's the actual ending. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah. I will say this without spoiling anything. The first level of what you could kind of consider the final act is, and I hope I'm using the phrase right, great use of Chekhov's gun in video game writing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Without getting into spoilers, there is something that is said at the beginning that sounds like a jokey Easter egg that ends up paying off.
I know.
It's hard to say it without.
Yeah, it's hard to say without bringing it up.
I didn't know
how to write it in general.
You did it. You did it.
Because
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can somebody write it in general? Because I remember the moment you're talking. Yeah, or DM it to me.
DM it to him. But to kind of, I feel like we've been on this one for a little while now. But to wrap it up, I did also want to quickly shout out though, how great the facial animations are in this game. Yeah. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Like the lip sync throughout the whole thing was fucking perfect. I was so impressed with it, and being able to read people's emotions so well without it being like crazy over exaggerated like in fucking like LA Noire or something. Like I was so impressed with just how well the characters like look and move, at least like in like the actual cutscene when you just don't have like the overworld interaction, you know what I mean? So yeah, very, very impressive. Do not sleep on Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Loki, you just DM'd that to me, and it brought back a flood of memories. I had totally forgotten about parts of this game. Yo, Guardians fucks. Like it is so good,
man.
So one quick thing, it's not really a spoiler, but it's just something that I thought was just like such a cool touch. So like it was shown in the E3 demo or gameplay demo, like the spot where you could like throw Rocket across to activate the bridge. Throughout the entire game, I never once threw Rocket. But then there's a spot towards the end of the game where they're like, guys, we've been good, but we have to do this. So I thought that was such a cool moment. It's like Rocket's like, I'll do it.
I have a question.
A lot of little payoffs like that throughout it.
Did he volunteer or was he voluntold for you?
He volunteered.
I believe he volunteered.
By the last time where you have to do it, he's like, listen, just do it. And they're like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah.
Okay, that's how it played out for me too.
Yeah, but Rocket I also never threw him at the beginning. I actually sided with Rocket as much as possible.
Same.
I didn't side with him as much as possible. I just didn't throw him. And I'm also realizing I didn't look up the other endings of this game. I think there's different endings. I do need to go back and look up what they are.
Yeah, I haven't looked at those then.
Yeah,
I chucked his ass just for the giggles. I 110% did.
Austin yeeted this goddamn road.
I was literally nice to him every other time except for when I got the chance to throw him, which honestly throws the game off a little bit.
There's a whole segment in the game where he just turns into an asshole, and I wish I had thrown him.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, not even throw him. I wanted to punt him like a football at certain points.
They redeem his character in such an expected way, but they nail it. Like
yes.
When they're telling that story that I already know and they're going about it, I knew exactly what was coming. I knew what he was going to say, and I still was like, the way they're portraying it on screen and the way the VO is done in said scene where he has this moment and he just does the thing. I'm like, you got me. You did it.
And then there's that moment where it's no longer a big deal and the character calls it out. That moment hit me really hard.
Yeah.
Especially because it happens in the middle of the gameplay as well.
And there's
it wasn't even like a cutscene. It's just a little thing that they just kind of go in. I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Without getting too spoilery about it, there is a pivotal moment for each character that I think, and it's how they unlock their final like best move or something.
Yeah.
And it's great for each of them. And this isn't a spoiler because to me there was really no payoff, and it's not about the 4 attacks I just mentioned, but the one thing that, like, one of the characters I didn't think was better, that I would prefer the MCU version, was Gamora.
Are you kidding me?
Listen, I feel like they set up so much for her, but, like, the thing with her just being obsessed with dolls didn't go anywhere, and I felt like they had a really great opportunity that, to me, missed the mark.
Yo, that hit for maybe you didn't get the same collectible I did because there's a collectible later on that like slaps you with some.
Yeah,
so I was gonna wrap up
the face with it if you do it.
I was gonna wrap the doll really.
No, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with the doll. I want to wrap up Guardians so we can keep going with if you could bring one of these characters from the game into the movies, who would it be? Starting with Josh.
Star-Lord, but I would change the haircut. I just want
haircut stays.
Sans haircut.
You know what? It's Star-Lord just because I can't stand Chris Pratt anymore.
Well, I assume there's the same actor. We're just going with this iteration.
I'm really over Chris Pratt, but also I love the guy that plays Star-Lord. Like it's hard to even like see the Chris Pratt Star-Lord now and have him speak differently than the
I've literally
been
thinking
the game
this.
one.
The one thing I will knock it's not even really knock, but there were certain times where Rocket is talking and Star-Lord is talking, and I really have to focus on who's talking because they sound very similar, and I'm like,
they both
it's
going
back and forth. I'm just like,
because they both just kind of shout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're shouting at each other, I'm like, what's happening?
Chris, who would you bring?
It's kind of a toss up between Mantis and Gamora. Like,
Okay.
Since we got Star-Lord out of the way.
I stand both of those.
Yeah,
because Gamora was probably my favorite of the crew. Like after said moment, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot that you learn about Gamora in the game that made me really like.
There's also the caveat where I fucking hate teenage Groot or whatever Groot is. Like he's a little piece of shit. Like burn him, make a fire out of him.
I think the next time we see him, he'll be young adult Groot.
Yeah. Who would you bring?
He's just
Jordan?
tired. He's in grad school.
Right.
He's honestly really boring now that I think about it. Like teenage Groot hasn't done shit. He chopped off his arm that one time.
Yeah,
that's it.
That was great.
He made an axe
great
handle
for the scene, but I was like, I'm not attached to the character. It doesn't mean shit.
For me, I would make it Drax. Because I think that they have laid the framework in the MCU to do what they've done with this Drax. Because my interpretation of your question, Chance, is it's going to be the same actor It's just we're going with these interpretations or iterations of the characters.
Oh, like I meant straight pull this person out and put them in the movie.
Okay. I'm
That's how I
still gonna
read it.
vote Drax just because this game. I think Drax is too often the butt of the joke in the live action movies, and I think that this game proved that just because his species doesn't understand sarcasm, they're not dumb all the time, and there are funny moments. And if you really think about it, Drax's story is tragic.
For sure.
Drax's story is very, very sad.
And they kind of
do
just
not fuck around with that in the game.
No, and they kind of just yada yada it in the MCU, and this made me go like, man, like this kind of ruined MCU Drax for me now.
Yeah.
So with the caveat of like Drax and Rocket, I would want to still be played by Batista and Cooper.
Yeah, Drax, I would
like those are the only two I would want to keep those actors. Not saying I don't like that.
Do the video game Drax really, really well.
For sure. I just love Dave Batista for no good reason. I just think he's a dope person.
Oh, also, can we talk about how Drax has reading glasses?
That's
you only see it on like the opening screen, I think.
I saw it on the
you
opening
see when
screen.
he's reading in the like there's a moment between levels
missions,
where he's reading. Because I went, no, he fucking doesn't. Went into photo mode and just was like, I have to post this. And I went, Drax has reading
like I might notice that was it's like on the start screen when Starler's flipping through all the music. You can see him with reading glasses, and I went, that's hilarious.
It's also like they're not like comically small, but they are like perfectly sized enough that he starts to look like a genius. Like whoever designed the glasses, I was like, there's definitely concept art of 12 different glasses designs, and they're like, this is the one.
They had the Miller
mind to where it's just like the bottom rim.
Yeah, it's like the half rim, and he wears them. You know, he kind of Chuck Schumer's them, puts them low on his nose.
But the thing is, the position he was reading the newspaper in, at least in game, like between missions, like he had that dad vibe going.
The feet up, the glasses low, leaning back.
The newspaper. I thought it was
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Sarcasm for Dummies is what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should move on, but
yeah.
I think the character that we're all forgetting about, you can't plug him because it's not the same thing, but there's like a llama or an alpaca in this game.
Oh,
and
the
I love
space
that damn
llama.
thing.
Yeah.
I love the space llama.
Funny.
I have to pee, so if we move on and Bret says his game, I'll have to repeat it for me when I get back, but I have to pee.
What would be the one character you would bring? Yeah. One character
Star-Lord.
Okay, Star-Lord.
Brett,
who would you bring?
Honestly, like all of them, but if I have to pick one, yeah, I think I would probably pick Drax just because of what Jordan said.
Okay,
but also,
would you rather him played by Bautista or by the dude in the game? Because the dude in the game was really good.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like real like acting is different, but I think Batista could pull off the material that the game provides. I'm only like 80% through the game. I haven't beaten it yet, so I can't speak to the like ending. But yeah. So yeah, Drax and then maybe Gamora second.
Yeah.
Okay. Gamora, hard Gamora for me. Alec, who would you bring?
I think I gotta go with Mantis. She just knocked it out of the park for me because I'm not, I don't hate Mantis in MCU, but it's like I'm the biggest fan. So it's like seeing her just like, and me basically being the 180 of her, just absolutely loving her character in this game.
I think that Gamora looks so much better in this game than she has ever looked in the movies.
I think all the characters look better.
Dude, there's some
but
scenes.
I've always preferred the comic designs of the Guardians over the movie ones, though.
Yeah, I just do not like Gamora's all of the Guardians, their outfits look good except for Gamora's. Gamora's made me realize how much I don't like Gamora's outfit in the movies.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you don't just like jeans and a tank top?
No.
Yeah, seeing it in the game. Seeing it in the game makes it stand out. Like how.
Yeah.
Alec, I was actually about to say something about Mantis. Honestly, the only reason I probably didn't choose Mantis is, and again, I'm gonna try my best to say this without spoiling anything. The interpretation of her powers is done very differently in this, and I just feel like it's too different of a version to like be like, oh, we're just gonna put you in the MCU now because it changes a lot.
Right? Yeah, I'm more talking about like personality.
Like this was this was the first character where I went, oh, I like you way more than the MCU version.
I was more talking not necessarily powers. I was more just personality wise.
But I think that's the things personally to me. I think those are so hand in hand with both versions of Mantis, where MCU Mantis acts the way she does because of her powers, and this version of Mantis acts the way she does because of her powers.
True.
Bret, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Halo Infinite.
Oh, shit!
Halo Infinite.
I know what your number 1 is. Then.
Yeah, my number 2 is Halo Infinite. Campaign side, I think it's the best campaign 343 has done, which I really appreciate. Visually, it looks amazing on Xbox Series X. Love the ability to play it at 4K 60 campaign, and then multiplayer you gotta crank it up to 120. I love the game design, the open world. Like it's not doing anything new, but it was just so fun. Like I like at least 8 times I played like an hour or two longer than I expected because I was just trying to get the next like FOB base or audio log or whatever the collectibles they had up. The grunt dialogues was hilarious in this game, like actually like amazing compared to like in the older Halo games, like they say one or two things, like okay, yeah, cool, but this
There
one
was a
like
special skull to make them like dick off. Like you had to like
exactly.
activate
Yeah,
that skull to get the fun lines.
in this one, they're just hilarious.
Mhm.
Like, and I would go so far even say just like not just the dialogue, but the AI as a whole. And I think I mentioned this on the spoiler cast that we did. And also maybe my my Halo placement's a little higher, so I'm not going to speak too much to it right now.
Maybe.
But there was that possibly, who knows,
It's actually an honorable mention.
Not even on my
That's
list,
mine.
bro. But there was a point where I heard I was up in like this tower, and this grunt yells at me. It's like, "All right, prepare to die, jerk face." And I hear this brute respond to him, "Go grunt, fight in silence." And I was like, one, that's hysterical. But then two, I hear the grunt start going, "Wait, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And I see the brute just heave this grunt at me after he pulls out a pair of plasma grenades. And as he's getting closer, I hear the grunt going, "Oh no 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 no!" Like before he hits me, and I was like, "This is the best game ever made." It's like, oh my god, that's hilarious.
It was Nathan Drake all along. Who knew?
The grunts really just rock
crap.
it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is there a supercut of the, is there a supercut on YouTube of the grunts lines? Because I saw one on Twitter, and
There has to be.
I know
I'm
Halo
sure there
very
is.
casually, but I just saw one where the grunt goes, "Oh shit, he's here!" And I'm like, this
Yeah.
is good.
Yep.
Wasn't there
now that skull to give like people like funnier dialogue, I believe, is still in the game, and so
It is.
and so I believe it just changes the lines that the grunts have. So they have an insane amount of line. I think I played through that entire game and I didn't hear a single line repeat.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the whole reason the game was delayed a year.
More grunt dialogue.
My favorite one is when like you're kind of hiding a little bit, and they're like, "Are you still here?" And I saw a clip of a guy who had one of the power coils or whatever, and he just leaps up in the air using his hook, and he's like slams the power coil down on the grunt. But right before he makes contact with the grunt just goes, "Oh!"
He's like, "You still there? You still mad?"
My favorite is probably a propaganda tower, because they're like, "Fuck it, let's just give the grunts even more dialogue." The grunts like, "The Master Chief's name is John. We're scared of a guy named John."
I don't think I ever heard that one.
Yeah,
it's great. Turns out all we needed for a good modern Halo game was for the grunts to be fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah,
they were always so close.
The propaganda towers are all Joe Staten too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he did the grunts in the first game.
Yeah. Yeah, the music is obviously they're bringing back like a lot of the classic themes that we've known and loved for the past 20 years, but there's different variations and a couple new tracks that I really felt like towing that fine line of like being familiar with what we love with the past Halo music, but also trying stuff that's new, that is kind of branching out musically. So I love that. Multiplayer I think is amazing. The game, and this goes for the campaign too, but the gameplay is really great. I feel like it's the best 343's ever done. I went back and played Halo 5 after Infinite came out. I was like, oh, this feels like weird now. Like, and I thought Halo 5's gameplay was great, and it feels a little off now.
Did the same thing and had the same feeling.
Yeah, it just feels so good to play. Like all the guns feel great. The equipment feels the best feels the best it's felt ever since 3. Like I feel like
I'd agree with that.
I feel like Reach, obviously the armor lock and stuff like that, people did not like that. 4, tried some stuff, didn't really work out. 5, I thought was actually pretty good with the Spartan abilities, but Infinite's equipment feels so perfect. I mean, the grapple is like one of the best video game things ever. Like
it's the best thing that's ever happened to Halo.
seriously, it's so fun,
honestly.
man.
I
It's
have
so
not
fun.
heard a single person mention that there's not dual wielding in this game, and I am so stoked about it because I'm not a fan of dual wielding anymore. Have you noticed
Yeah.
that? Like nobody
never liked
misses.
dual wielding.
Yeah, nobody misses dual wielding.
Yeah, because that was a
wasn't
big
good.
thing back in like
It
2004.
destroyed the balance of the game and was pointless.
Yeah.
I miss dual wielding.
I remember the first time doing it, and I was like, "This is dope!" Like when you're holding 2 SMGs.
Oh, yeah.
The first level of 2. I was like, "This is next level. This is
Oh,
video games."
It's still bitching in the campaigns, just in multiplayer. It's not
To me, the coolest was always the dual needlers.
Oh yeah,
no, dude,
of
it's
course.
dual SMGs. Like that
Thank
is
you.
so Halo to
SMGs,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
SMGs, yeah.
Isn't that what he's on? He's holding in the cover.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, just to end it, the grappling shot. Every time I saw a Banshee, every single time I saw a Banshee, whiff. I'm gonna get this fucker. Come back. I'm getting shot. I'm getting shot. I'm still just whoop, whoop.
Yep.
I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, the audio logs too. Like,
oh yeah,
nothing new, but it's such a cool way to introduce the story. Although, yeah, it was just amazing. It was like for me, this was like the final straw for 343. I was like, if they like,
yes, no, but we all get what you're saying.
4 was good, 5 was good for the multiplayer side, but it's still like the cachet of Halo had kind of declined a little bit since Reach, I guess. And this was like their final chance to like nail it. And there's obviously it's not a perfect game, but it does feel like they nailed the core tenets of the campaign aspects and the multiplayer aspects.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to get better from here, which I am super excited about, with maybe campaign content, obviously multiplayer content. Yeah, Halo's in a really good spot right now.
This is a joke, but I'm excited to see more trees.
More biomes, man. Let's get some snow in there. Let's get some desert, some jungle, some swamps. Yeah. So
yeah, I think we'll see it. I'm assuming if there's ever going to be campaign DLC, that it's going to expand like where we go on the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they dug out of the Halo 5 debacle, which is crazy. So
right. If you want to hear more about Halo, we have a
podcast.
You're cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're doing, but I heard none of it.
Yeah.
Fuck it then. They don't need it.
Halo spoiler.
Don't
check it out.
Don't check it out. He said, "Do not check out the Halo spoiler."
Why? Because you fell asleep and didn't make the recording.
I know.
At not even 5 minutes after the log off, Bret's like, "Yeah, are you still going? I'm here." And I'm like, "Dude, we just finished."
I saw you guys in the call.
I was like, "We just wrapped it."
Life didn't like us that day.
No, that was a rough one.
Austin, what's your
good
number
episode though?
Yeah, really good.
Chance, you said yours and Austin's were both Guardians, right?
No, my number 2 was Deathloop. My number 3 was
my number 2 was Guardians. I mentioned that briefly.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so my number 2 is Metroid Dread.
Oh,
so
nice.
The one thing that always got me like Metroid fans, I should say Metroid 2D specifically. We've been waiting 20 years for a sequel to Fusion. And we finally got that this year with Dread. And it did not only meet our expectations, but it exceeded them. And oh my gosh, this game felt so good to play. The gameplay was awesome. It looked amazing. It played at a smooth frame rate the entire time. And let me tell you, the checkpoint system in front of the bosses was so great because you didn't, every time you died, because the bosses were, it was a tough game. I'm not going to lie. But the checkpoint system, when you put you right in front of the boss door every time, it was just like, okay, I know what I did wrong. It was all about finding that pattern and figuring it out. And it's like, oh, I just did this wrong. And it's like, give me again. And it was just so satisfying. Austin, what's up?
Hi, I've never played a Metroid game ever, and I want to play Dread. Can I play Dread and like is it too hard? Like, is there a difficulty thingy at the beginning or no?
No, there's no difficulty setting.
Fuck. I'm a bitch boy, okay? I can't play hard games. I'll give it a go. I'll get mad and I bounce.
That's the second time on this podcast you called yourself a bitch boy.
Because it's true. What do you want from me?
There's a demo that you can play, Austin.
There's a demo
There's
you
a
can
demo.
play.
Yeah.
And the checkpoints are pretty generous.
They are, yeah.
Okay.
But as somebody who loves Fusion, because that was one of the games on my Game Boy Advance I played constantly. And honestly, I actually played it like a week before Dread came out. And getting back in that Metroid vibe, Dread just felt so much better. And honestly, if you give the demo a try, if you haven't, it is such a great game.
To pimp more of our stuff and hopefully not cut out, there's a clip of Bret reacting to when that trailer dropped, and it's one of my favorite videos on the channel. Like, I love that video.
Give us the face, Bret. Give us the face.
Unfeathered joy is all that video is.
Oh, he did it! He did it!
Yeah.
Number one thumbnail guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
By far.
We use that for everything. It's like something bad happened, you do.
It's our Wilhelm scream.
Yep.
Bret's not even in the video sometimes, and it's our thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right. Chris, you have Bo's number 2?
I do, and Bo picked League of Legends Wild Rift, the mobile release of League of Legends, which is also something that I played, so I can speak briefly on this. First, speaking as from the perspective of somebody who does not like League of Legends, I like the world of it. I like the art style. I play Valorant. Not technically the same thing. I've even played like Legends of Runeterra, which was their answer to, or which was their card game. League of Legends was not a game that I ever got into until I played Wild Rift. The mobile game makes matches shorter, simplifies things for touch controls without losing the essence of all of the characters. They're slowly in the process of carrying all like 120 heroes or however fucking many characters there are in League of Legends. It's a ridiculous amount. There's like 80 playable characters or something, I think, in that game. But it's fun. I enjoy it a lot. One, because it's much less toxic than its PC counterpart, which is always a plus. It's got lots and lots of tools that help teach you the game. I'm still not like a huge fan of MOBAs by any means, but in a world where we have games like Wild Rift and the whatever the name of the Pokemon one was, Unite. Thank you. They've kind of swayed me on that a little bit and shown me like different ways that can be really cool and enjoyable. And also, funny enough, just because it's a newer version of the game, all of the character models are actually higher quality on the mobile version than they are on the PC version of League of Legends.
I love it.
So it's even a better looking game on your phone. And I mean, it's free. You literally got nothing to lose. It's a great time killer, and I think they managed to do a really, really good job of bringing a game to mobile without losing anything that makes the original version what it is, which is a really, really cool
huge
feat.
Yeah,
it's a really, really cool feat. So if you play League of Legends at all and you just kind of want something to do the pass the time, I highly recommend Wild Rift. I have a lot of fun playing it. I still play it a lot.
Plus the people play this one shower.
Yeah, no kidding. And because it's a slightly different game, like all the characters are actually like tuned a little differently and that sort of thing. So some abilities work in different ways. To where if you did want to kind of like get more into the competitive side of things, I believe scenes are starting to form around Wild Rift as well. So go get them. Nice. Yeah, fun game, good music, fun to look at, good game. Enjoy it. Free.
All right.
What's the lose?
Before we get to our number ones, we're going to go around talking about honorable mentions. This is going to be pretty quick, so maybe just a sentence or two about each of them if you haven't talked about them already. So we're going to start with Josh.
First honorable mention, Halo Infinite, what already hasn't been said. I love the campaign. The multiplayer is kind of what drags it down, and it keeps it, like 6 on my top 10 of the year.
You're out of your mind.
We'll remember that.
You're out of your
Oh,
mind.
you're absolutely okay. And plus, like, there's some story beats I don't really like, and some gameplay stuff. But other than that, Guardians just started that 2 days ago. Incredible. I can't wait
They're
for Marvel
good.
Legends figures to come out of those characters. Well, hopefully
Yeah.
next month we get an
I didn't even
announcement.
think about
Incredible.
that.
Yes, that's all I want when playing it. When they get announced. And then Unpacking. Play Unpacking. It's the best Game Pass
It's on
game I've
console, right?
played.
You said Game
Yes,
Pass?
It's everywhere.
it's on
Okay.
Xbox Game Pass. Play it. It's such a chill experience. There's so much heart in it. The level design. There's a story, surprisingly, which you wouldn't expect from that game. I accidentally spoiled it for someone. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I just did this," and she's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, I didn't know what happened, and I was like, "Ooh, yikes!" But like, I have OCD, depression, and ADHD, like, diagnosed with all those. That game helps out with all of them, and like just brings it all out in me. Like the OCD, I'm like, oh, this has to go here, this has to go here, and then I'll start unpacking the bedroom, and then I'm like, oh, this is a bathroom item. Go to the bathroom, start doing
Yep.
this. And then yeah, just chill, stress relief game, incredible. Play it.
Great soundtrack.
And that's it. Yeah, great
Yeah.
soundtrack. Dude, such a chill vibe. Play Unpacking.
All right,
That's
Chris. Your
I'm
honorable
just gonna run
mentions.
through. I'll run through mine real quick. Unpacking was on mine. Excellent game. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Again, like Josh said, Game Pass. No excuses.
Yeah.
I really didn't play a lot of new games this year. Like the top 3 were kind of like my 2021 releases, with the exception of Death's Door. Also, very, very good game. It's on honorable mentions because it's like number 4 on my list. You play as a little crow in this like cool like Zelda-y kind of game. Death's Door, very good game. Great art style, great story.
Pretty early on
great
into
combat.
that. Can't wait to play it. Continue playing it.
Fun, really fun game. That's kind of all the 2021 games I played, but I do want to shout out The Witcher 3 finally clicked for me, and I've been playing that recently, and I'm finally enjoying that game like for the first time. And so I'm
6 years later.
I'm experiencing what everybody did like 10 years ago for the first time, and it's like I keep texting my friends like, bro, did you know how good this game is? They're like, yes.
Yo, Chris, wait till you find out about Skyrim.
What?
The inferior Witcher 3.
I've never liked Skyrim, to be fair. I'm gonna throw that out there. But
same.
as much as I enjoy Elder Scrolls, but yeah, those are kind of my honorable mentions. Like as great as like my top 4, type 5 games are. For me personally, this was kind of a slow year, like gaming wise. There wasn't a lot that spoke to me, but the ones that did, very, very good.
Jordan.
I have 2 honorable mentions. One is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond / Shining Pearl. I could talk about that game for hours, and in fact, I have. So check out our video that we did with Austin and friend of the show, Tucker Hazel. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl 2 weeks in. I was also on the Poke Ramble podcast, so check that out as well. You say similar things in both, but the conversations in both are really great. My other honorable mention is Death's Door, which I got a gift card to buy it on Christmas, and I've been playing it. And I found something out that kind of killed the level design for me to the point that is not in my top 3. And that in Death's Door, you start out with 4 basically HP, and 1 hit is a full HP, and 4 basically things of magic. And most of the spells are 1 each, 1 spell is 2. And I found out that there are crystals in the game that, if you collect enough of them, will increase one of those 2 things, depending on which crystals you find. I'm on the last boss of that game and have found none of them. Not enough to increase 1. None. And I'm not saying that they should be handing me these, but the fact that I haven't been able to just stumble upon a couple, I think to me is bad level design. If that makes sense. I just think like in Zelda games, like you
do need a couple gimmies. You do need a couple gimmies.
A couple gimmies, and like I haven't been playing this game purely linear. I've gotten lost multiple times. So the fact that I've done stuff that just kind of led to nothing, it's like in Zelda, you come across a few heart pieces fairly easily, or there's some that if you wander off just the right way, you'll find it. And then there are some that are like impossible to find. This game could have thrown a couple of gimmies in there, so at least I knew what they were being counted for.
That was a game mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, and like you pause the menu, but there are 2 huge things counting how many you collected. And I was like, oh, those will probably come in later in the story, right? And to me, personally, that killed the level design.
Okay. I also would be pissed about no gimmies personally.
Yeah.
I feel like even in Sekiro they give you a gimme.
Exactly. And this game is ruthless in some ways, but like just
the game is not easy.
No, I'm stuck on that last boss to the point that I'm like, I will beat this while listening to a podcast or on my lunch break. I'm working on Mass Effect now.
Yeah.
Gamer men mad because game doesn't hand things to them.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
I want my baby ass baby mode.
I'm a little baby back bitch. Third time.
Third time. Take a shot.
So, like, here's the thing. I agree with everything you're saying. I double down on that shit, okay?
Bret.
Okay, so I have a couple here, but I'll just like be really quick. Guardians, I mean, incredible visuals, great interpretation of the characters that are unique, but also very similar to the MCU. Yeah, love the agency and the story. The only reason why it might not even be in my top 3 is I haven't finished it, so I just don't want to like rank it if I haven't fully completed it. Valheim, when that came out, that was so fun to play with.
That was a moment.
It was.
Yeah,
I had
it
so
took
much
over
fun
the
with
internet
it.
for a while.
I had so
And
much
let me tell
fun.
you, I bought it the week after everybody stopped playing. I never put time into that. I barely put any time into that.
I want to come back
like
to
90
it.
hours. Dude, I will play with you. I will play with you, Brett. I fucking
Valheim a year later.
Yeah.
It sucks.
They got Hearth and Home in there. Let me base build.
It was still like what was that, like March 2021? So like yeah, like it was still like quarantine. Everyone was still like locked in. So everyone was like just gaming way more than normal. And so I just was like playing that game, and I don't usually play those kind of games. So that was a completely new experience, mostly for me. I'm gonna shout out Mass Effect. I didn't rank it just because I don't like rank remasters for like game of the years. That's just my personal preference. But obviously Mass Effect 1 is my favorite game of all time. That series has impacted me tremendously. And then I just said Nintendo. Like Nintendo had such a great year this year. Like Mario 3D World, WarioWare was great. Skyward Sword HD, just a way better to play that game. Mario Party Superstars.
Yes.
Arguably the best Mario Party like
ever, like legitimately.
I'm like a Mario Party like connoisseur, and so like I feel like when I say it's like might be the best. Yeah, it's like it might be the best one. Like like there's some it was so good, and after they kind of
this Mario Party is unequivocally fucking busting.
after they kind of like Super Mario Party like wasn't bad. It just wasn't like what I was looking for with Mario Party per se. And like and the online is like, I mean, it's bare bones for like today's day and age, but it's like incredible for Nintendo. Like you can jump in after you leave. Like it's just great online. And then
online, it's there.
exactly. But as Nintendo fans, we're desperate. And then I want to include Returnal. I haven't finished it either, but the gameplay is amazing. The graphics are amazing. The like aesthetic is amazing. Like it's such a foreign, like if you have seen Arrival, like just the way that like kind of interprets like what alien cultures might be like I felt like that kind of happened with Returnal. I don't know what the ending is because I haven't beat it yet, but I want to go back to Returnal very, very bad. Seems fun the time. So yeah, those are a couple of my honorable mentions for this year.
All right, moving on to Chance.
So Mario Party are also one of my honorable mentions, but that wasn't the one that I had in mind when talking about this earlier. Y'all joked about what my honorable mention would be. Cyberpunk, I did play it this year. Sekiro, I did play it this year. Bloodborne, I did play that, and The Witcher. I played all of those this year, and they would be my honorable mention. But my honorable mention is Lego Harry Potter. Holy fuck! I had so much fun with Lego Harry Potter this year.
Yes.
Like the first half of the year, I was just like I don't play on the couch very much since getting my PC. I would just like twiddle away with it, and like I just had so much damn fun with this PS3 game on my PS5. Like no shit, besides Miles Morales, that might be my most played game on my PlayStation 5. Like I have gone through. I also wanted to give an honorable shout out to Bret's shirt. I am I love it, and I've been wanting to say something. I've waited till this moment to bring it up. Those are my honorable mentions.
I put so many hours into Lego Harry Potter on the iPod.
What?
What?
I'm going out of my comfort zone here. I am nailing it. Lego Harry Potter gets our like honorable mention award. Like it wins the award for honorable mentions. Lego Harry Potter.
Is that on Xbox?
I'm sure.
There's a
I'm
version for
compatible, 'cause
Xbox
I've
One
actually
and
been wanting to play it.
there's
He
a
just said he
version for
played it on
Xbox
iPod.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking like when they originally released, but there is a combo pack on Xbox
Yes,
One and PS4 that is both years 1 through 4 and 5 through 7.
And they're both
Okay.
backwards compatible. That's exactly what I
Excellent.
played. Yeah.
Excellent.
Because there was something about like Harry Potter on PS4 like wasn't on Xbox. And I remember being like, what the heck? This is Harry Potter.
Okay.
I think it
there
was
the
that
Harry Potter Move game
No,
when
it
the
was a
PS3 Move
collection.
first came out.
It was a collection. I think they patched it or they ported it or whatever.
Maybe the collection's only on PS4. I remember it being on both.
Also, while I'm here, I'm gonna nominate the Xbox Series X's backwards compatibility with the FPS boost.
It is on Xbox, by the way.
Okay, like I was playing like so many old games that just got boosted to 60 frames, and I'm like, this is incredible that they're doing this. Like
the original Skate was one of them, and I was playing it the other day, and I was just like, damn, this game still looks good.
It completely changes how you play it. Like that's so cool that they do that.
You said you nominated it for what?
It's
nominated.
It's just one of my like nomination, like honorable mentions.
Okay.
Honorable mentions, excuse me. Yes.
I'm starting to learn. I have no idea how frames work, and I'm just too scared to ask at this point.
How smooth the picture is.
No, I get that, but there was once a game developer who had like this whole thread on Twitter that was like, you can't just tell things to suddenly go to 60 FPS because it's literally double the animations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now finding out that they just have FPS boost, I'm like, where the fuck are the animations coming from?
It's AI.
And
by the way, all those games I mentioned as other honorable mentions, I have beaten and most of them platinumed before this year. I just wanted to, as like a Soulsborne person for shared screens, I had to make sure that people knew.
Soulsborne plus Cyberpunk.
He's a gamer-ass gamer.
I have played and beat Cuphead. I like to sugar as
Damn.
well.
I have played and beat Cuphead.
Yep.
All right, Austin.
Hi. Since we're mentioning honorable mentions that didn't come out this year, Fallout 4. I've been playing that game for like 30 hours. It's like my 5th time playing that game, and I'm still finding shit that I didn't the first 4 times. So it's great. I'm loving it. I have like 6 locations I'm trying to deck out and get filled with turrets and a bunch of power armor and all that. It's fun. Whatever. So I'm going to GG for my other Deathloop. We talked about Deathloop already. That was in my top 10. Psychonauts 2 was in my top 10. An indie game called Mundan. I think I talked about this before. It's like a hand-drawn horror game, and that alone should be enough to get you in. Like
I wanted to play that. I remember when you first brought that up.
It's really, really cool and really worth your time. There's a mechanic where you can like sneak around and you fight these like hay people, and you can set them on fire and shit. And then there's like environmental puzzles. There's a puzzle where you drive like a ski lift. You drive like a van thingy to a ski lift. There's a Yeti in this game. There's time travel in this. It's bonkers. There's a guy with that. You fucked up.
You said I'm going to pull up GG. I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. I should have done that. I completely left a game off. I get 2 years in a row now. There's a game that I love that I completely left off of my game of the year list.
Okay, you can go after me.
So
Is
you
it the
keep
same
going.
game?
You keep going. No, no, it's not Tony Hawk again.
I'm gonna die on this hill. I won't go into it, but I'm gonna die on this hill. 12 minutes. I think for mechanically what that game is, I loved the concept. I think they nailed the concept. There's just some source material that I don't agree with.
Weird.
But
the idea is cool.
Best family game of the year.
God damn it. But no, I think for what that game is in concept and mechanic and like the writing, take that part out. It's actually really good. If you literally just take that part out, it's a really good game in my opinion. Like I love that game. But yeah, there's a caveat, unfortunately. Knockout City. Knockout City is a game I played because I was held
on mine too.
I had foot surgery. And I was just sitting on my ass for a long ass time. You know what I did for like literally the first half of that? I just played Knockout City and I got kind of good at it. And then I just never played it again. But for the time being, that was like my game of the year at that point. Like that it was a really good game.
Go back to our game of the year so far podcast.
It was like
kind of the Valheim thing, to where everyone played it and then no one played it.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude, for that game to launch as like a new thing, like this type of game doesn't exist. A
On
dodgeball
Game
game
Pass.
doesn't really
Yeah.
exist like this, and it
Oh, yeah.
launched on Game Pass, which was a great idea, and it launched like pretty sound. Like I don't think there were that many like server wise or like mechanically. Like
It ran
as
flawlessly as far as I
someone
remember.
who doesn't play multiplayer that often, like I didn't have a lot of toxic interactions either. Like it I can't say enough good things about Knockout City. Like, it's not my game of the year,
Yep.
clearly, because a bunch of really heavy hitters came out and it's knocked it down. But for like half the year, this was my number 2 game of the year, rightfully so.
I'm starting to think that like trendy game of the year should become like a new category, and it's like defined as like whatever game everybody was talking about for a month.
The trendy game of the year for the month of. Okay, so
Like that.
and then my last thing before, because I've talked about this before, Little Nightmares 2. Little Nightmares 2 is it literally just Inside or Limbo, but like modern and unabashedly horror. Like Inside and Limbo, don't get me wrong, there's horror elements to that, but like I wouldn't go as far to say like you're gonna get scared in those games. You're gonna get scared in Little Nightmares 2. And if you're like I'm telling you, this is worth your time. It imbues an emotion in you that you don't understand until you play it. You care for these little fuckers that you're trying to get from point A to point B because they're a little tiny little child thing, and everything else is so much bigger than you are, and it's terrifying. So I want to challenge at least one person on this panel to play this game and just play the first section, because the first section has like the ending of the first section. There's this scene in a shed, and something goes down in this shed, and the sound design is impeccable when this moment happens. It's literally one of the top 10, maybe my favorite moment ever in video games. Just the sound design, the way it builds up, the emotion it's imbuing with these two characters, and it's a horror game where you're like fuck I have to go, like if I take too long I'm gonna die. Like it has that suspense to it, and it just like if that was the entire experience, clearly I wouldn't pay the full money I paid, but if that was the full experience, I'd be happy. Like just if that was the crescendo and then the credits rolled, I'd be like they did it. They freaking did it. Little Nightmares 2, I'm telling you, and they're done with Little Nightmares 2. The devs are like, it's not making us enough money, so we're gonna go on to different things. I literally almost cried. I love Little Nightmares. 1 is good too. 2 is just everything that was good about 1 made better. So there you go. I think I'm done.
All right. A few of my honorable mentions. Big one for me is Before Your Eyes. Like, that is a game that was brought to my attention by a friend of the show, Robo Dessert. Watched him stream a chunk of it, and it's a game that you can buy for what, $10 to $20 on Steam. You can beat it in under 3 to 4 hours, and it is such a great experience. And if you don't know what that is, it uses your webcam, and every time you blink, it moves forward in time. And
one of the coolest, dopest concepts for a game, I imagine.
Yes, and it doesn't use it gimmicky either. It actually uses it very well, because there's times where you have to keep your eyes open so it doesn't move forward time, but then there's times where, in order to hear better, you have to keep your eyes closed. But it's just such a great experience. So go give that a try.
You're gonna cry if you play it, by the way.
Yes. Kena Bridge of Spirits. Gotta give that a shout out. Just because for me too, I played it kind of late in the year, and it happened right around when my aunt passed away. So it was one of those like games, like perfect time, like dealing with grief and all that. Returnal already shot, like Guardians and Deathloop already had those honorable mentions. Knockout City 2. And my last one is going to be Scarlet Nexus. Just because that game, it is one of those games where it's an RPG hack and slash, but in between missions, it's like the in between parts of Fire Emblem, where you're increasing your relationships, getting those connections together, which in turn help you in the missions. So you get better combos, better attacks. And let me tell you, when you're in the late game, when you're able to like mix and match those powers, there is nothing quite like it. So I'll say it's on Game Pass too, so give it a shot. It is so much fun. All right.
So I do have Bo's honorable mentions here as well. Before I get to Bo's, I have to add one more to mine, and I'm upset. And I'm at the point where I'm so mad at myself for forgetting it, because last year I left Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Remake off of my list, and I meant to have it. They're in
Fake
my
fan.
3. Just fake fan, bro. And
Fake fan.
same thing goes to this, to where it's like, if I had remembered and had actually like paid attention to my list, I would probably put this at my number 3 instead of Deathloop. But because where we're at, it's going to be my honorable mention, and that's Forza Horizon 5.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Which is the ultimate just pure gameplay fun I think that I've had in any video game this year, to where it drops you into Mexico. It says, okay, go have fun. Here's a bunch of cars that are really, really cool. Here's a kick-ass soundtrack. Here's all these different cool environments to explore, just tons of stuff to do. Hey, just load up with one of your friends and go dick around. And I don't think any game really like captures like the essence of, hey, just go have fun, like Forza Horizon does. And I think 5 is the best of the Horizon series, where they took everything that made the previous entries good and improved upon it and iterated. And so, yeah, again, another Game Pass. Definitely make sure you play Forza Horizon 5.
There is such a small, minuscule feature in Forza Horizon 5 that I want there to be in way more games, which is when you pick a name, if it's like relatively common, the VO has recorded that name.
It weirds me out every time it goes, "Hello, Chris." I'm like, ah, don't do that.
Because like I mentioned earlier, like
Fallout 4 does that.
Yeah, it weirds me out then too.
Yeah, I just want that to become more commonplace, because like with character customization, like I think that could really take things far. Because like in Skyrim, everyone's just referring to you as the Dragonborn, or in Mass Effect, they're just calling you Commander Shepard because you can't change your last name. Like, I think if they get better at like presetting names, that can really get some cool effects. It's such a small.
Yeah,
I can see that taking a lot of time.
I think it's probably easier to do in Horizon, because there's not a ton of dialogue in a racing game.
And it's kind of an AI-ish voice too.
Yeah, it's already, it's like you only hear like from really like the one, like your onboard car AI or whatever. But as far as Poe's honorable mentions, he's got 2. One of them being Scarlet Nexus, which I think Al did a great job of explaining. I think my favorite thing ever is anytime Bo talks about it, he always just mentions, yeah, it's stupid anime bullshit and it's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, he just screams
exactly.
anime bullshit.
The,
I'm like, cool.
The ending. Oh my gosh. God. Please, at least if you're not going to play it, just look up the ending, because it is exactly that.
And then his other one is Loop Hero, which I actually know nothing about, but I've heard very good things.
It is so good. I love it. It's one of those games where you can. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm going to piggyback off something else, so go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, it's one of those games that you can just put on a show that you've seen 100 times and just kind of let it go, because that's part of the mechanic, is you just keep going in loops. So I found, personally, I couldn't do that. Just because there's times where the game, it gets almost hectic, where you're just more managing everything that's going on. But I still need to play more of that, because I'm still very early on in it, but I enjoyed what I played of it.
Yet another Switch game I will be buying eventually. I just want to say I'm super happy that Loop Hero got mentioned today. I'm super happy that Inscription got mentioned today. I'm happy that Returnal got mentioned today. I'm just glad we didn't go through all of these Game of the Year talks in those games.
It's all triple.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to request something before we start getting the Game of the Years. Is if you don't mind, I would like to start off with Bo's Game of the Year, since that's probably going to be like the one we talk the least about, because he's not here.
Yeah.
So Bo's Game of the Year is in fact Inscription.
At
the top of his list.
Wow.
See, and I know he likes it a lot because he talks about it a ton.
I tried DMing him. I was like, I need to talk to him about this. I actually had a big DM thread between Borzen and I, just because I'm like, I need to talk to somebody about this game. So maybe we'll have a Inscription spoiler cast at some point.
Another game I will buy on Switch when it comes.
So.
Sorry, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah. All right. Josh, here we go.
All right.
Your Game of the Year.
Please. Fortnite Chapter 3. Oh my god, they did it. You put Spider-Man in the game. It's incredible. You can get web shooters. Oh my god, Boba Fett's in there. You can now slide like an Apex. They got tents. You can aim down sights. This is the best game ever made, y'all. Oh my god, Fortnite Chapter 3. It's so good. I'm kidding.
I used to call it Fortnite.
Yes, I do. And man, was I so stupid back in those days. Little did I know Spider-Man was on his way and it was going to be incredible.
Legitimately, Chapter 3 is really fucking good.
Very fucking
like, Fortnite's
good.
in a
Yes.
really good place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Josh,
But-
you went on with that so long that I was like, oh, he's not joking.
That's what I was thinking
Yeah,
too.
moment.
I
had a moment.
110% am.
The last time I played Fortnite, I played Prop Hunt.
Nice.
Fortnite has
Missing
one.
out.
Was that a
Fortnite has
joke?
Prop Hunt, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
But I gotta go Returnal. I
Okay.
gotta
Hey,
go Returnal.
yeah.
Number one with a fucking bullet. Just it's what PlayStation Studios does best in terms of just giving absolute creative freedom to their developers and just saying, do this. It's like when the Killzone guys, they're like, hey, go make a fucking open world RPG with robot dinosaurs, and it works. But this is from Housemarque. This is from the guys that put out Resogun.
Arcades.
And just, yeah, a bunch of twin stick shooters. And this takes a lot of that, but elevates it into a AAA third person game. And this game is relentless and will kick your ass and is unapologetic about it. And it's the most I've thought about a game where I'll be doing runs, get my ass kicked, and I'm like screaming. I'm like about to chuck my DualSense, but I'm like, yeah, this is gonna leave a hole in the wall because it's a hefty boy.
And it's expensive
And-
controller.
And it's an expensive controller. And then I got to put it down. But even when I put it down, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, what if I go to this room first, get this upgrade? Hopefully there's one of these there. And just thinking about getting the perfect run. And it's incredible. The boss is amazing. The biomes you go to, each one is absolute incredible. And just waking up and starting this new loop, and you never know what's in the next door you're going to go through, whether it's a dude that's going to hit you in 2 hits and you're about to restart a whole run, or whether it's something story based and going and exploring this lore. And I feel like it's hard to do new sci-fi nowadays just because like everything almost feels like it's been done, but this is still like such really good, interesting sci-fi where you can definitely pick apart the references and just kind of see what they're alluding to. And yeah, it's incredible. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. And for my introduction into roguelikes, I don't think I could have started with a better one than Returnal.
I'll say, and just shout out, because this was the first like next gen game that came out on the PS5,
Yes.
and it took advantage of that DualSense. Because I'm gonna tell you, in that first
Yes.
biome, when you're just walking around, you can feel every raindrop on that DualSense.
On the DualSense, absolutely. And then
And having the
modes, like we talked about.
the Pulse headset too, having that full experience of the 3D audio, you can know
It
you know
immerses you in it.
exactly where every enemy is around you. It is so
100%. 100%. You'll walk in and you're like, okay, there's a couple guys behind me there. One of those big dudes down there. Someone just shot at me from back there. I'm gonna jump, dash over. Incredible. And yeah, just the flow, like the flow of the movement and the combat, just takes what like Housemarque already did so well with their twin stick shooters and just brings it into third person. And they absolutely nailed it. And I'm so happy PlayStation has now put a ring on it. Thank God. Maybe Returnal 2. I don't know, but I'm excited what they do next.
That'd be dope. When you were saying that, like, you had to look over there, there's a guy shooting at me, I gotta dodge, I gotta go over here. You just like, it's incredible, blah, blah, blah. I took that as, I'm incredible.
I mean, I did get the platinum, which, you know, most Returnal players probably can't even say. It's difficult.
hard.
That's a
That
hard
last
platinum.
biome,
That last
biome, my final collectible wouldn't pop for me, and I was fucking just.
That's why I heard
so
the
sad.
collectibles are
livid.
what makes the platinum hard, because sometimes in a run they just don't spawn.
They don't
Yeah.
spawn, and I would literally go through the final biome, which is the hardest one. Go to the boss fight. I'm like, did I miss something behind the boss fight? I did the boss fight, which is the hardest boss, like one of the hardest boss fights, like 3 times just looking for a collectible. Didn't even spawn, and then I finally got it, and I was like, thank God, I can I can rest now. I can finally fucking rest. But yeah, this game will kick your ass.
I can rest on a grateful universe, or whatever that line is. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
I mean, I don't think, look, here's the thing.
And here goes the rest of the podcast.
Baby.
I can't believe Chris liked Skyward Sword HD this much.
So much fun. If you've been following me here on shared screens at all, or over on twitch.tv/RoboPack92, or even on Twitter at the same name, it's like, you know I love Halo. And you know how much I love Halo Infinite. There was never a doubt in my mind that this wasn't going to be my game of the year going into this. And even with absolutely monumental expectations, because as I think Bret put it really well, it's like this game had to hit, or that was kind of gonna be 343's sort of last chance with me, man. Like it's like I liked 4 a lot, 5, but
Just Halo, period.
it was still never the same. You know, they did it, man. They absolutely did it. It's everything that I wanted out of a Halo game, and I'm actually not going to spend very long talking about this because we do have a whole spoiler cast on it. If you do want to hear my full impressions, and also I think Bret did a great job when he mentioned it earlier, and I've also just kind of, it's all I stream now. Like I don't play other games. I play Halo Infinite on Twitch, and it's kind of all I tweet about. So I don't think you need to hear more about Halo from me. I think I've done that enough. But I do think
become
that
the Spartan Danny Rojas.
Halo is life.
Yeah.
That's your new intro, Chris.
Halo is
Spartan
life,
Danny
baby.
Rojas.
Spartan Danny Rojas.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
But yeah, I think they absolutely nailed it. They came and said it. I think Bret put it well. It's like the open world as far as the campaign goes, not necessarily bringing anything new to the table, but what makes it so good is how good the gunplay of Halo is, and the feeling of being in it. It's not technically doing anything that's new, but manages to do it in a way that it still feels fresh and fun and different from everything else. The multiplayer is, I think, the best it's ever been in Halo, just as far as like how tight the movement is, how the weapons are balanced, the way that they or at least like even like the way that the maps are balanced, the way that the new equipment kind of works in tandem with all the new weapons and map design and all this thing. Everything I think about it is tight. It's it's top notch. It's a 10 out of 10 for me personally, and I'm hella biased. I'll be 100 with you. I'm absolutely biased. I don't care. Halo Infinite fucks.
Yeah, it does.
Like that's it.
It's worth mentioning that for my number 3 game, I had personally had a tie. It was Life is Strange: True Colors, Halo Infinite, or Little Nightmares 2. I went with True Colors because I haven't talked about it that much, and I wanted to make it interesting if I didn't include a point for Halo Infinite. So, but Halo Infinite could be my number 3 game of the year. Just want that on the table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's too good, and I mean multiplayer's free, so at least give that a shot. And also the campaign's on Game Pass. Like, there's no excuses. Now there's never been a better time to get into Halo because it really is. It's back in terms of the way that it's kind of dominating the FPS scene right now with Call of Duty and Battlefield both having some really mediocre at best showings. It's taken over the esports scene right now too. I mean, it's Halo is back in a way that it hasn't been since Halos 2 and 3, and so there's not a better time to jump back into it than right now.
Chris, was there ever a world where this game was a medium for you? Like, if it didn't hit, I could see you being like, I'm done. Like, it's horrible. But
if the campaign wasn't, I'd played a lot of the multiplayer enough to know that where I was like, the multiplayer is very good and some of my favorite in this series. And I think I'd said even here on content multiple times where it's like the campaign has to hit for this to be great. And after playing the multiplayer, I was like, if they nail the campaign, this will be the best Halo game in the series. And I think they nailed the campaign, and I do think this is the best Halo game in the entire series.
Gotcha.
But I mean, yeah, there absolutely was a world where they fucked it.
Well, I just mean more like, is there a world where to you it was like it was fine, like, or do you think it would have been strong reactions either way?
I think
it would have been strong reactions either way. Just for me personally, one, because that's just kind of how I am, but also to where it was, I fully expected it to kind of be the thing where like Halo 4. Man, multiplayer, great campaign. Halo 5, man, campaign, great multiplayer. Like I was waiting for it to kind of have one thing that was not as good as the other, and they didn't actually. They managed to thread the needle in many ways
Okay.
throughout the design philosophy of the game. So yeah,
Jordan,
very good.
Another
Very
thing about
impressive.
that. Another thing about that is, like, if this game was fine, even if the multiplayer was banger, it was dead. It was done.
No,
Like,
that I knew.
That was
I
Halo
was talking
5.
more like personal reaction rather than like because I know industry wide was like if this game's not a 10, it's a 0.
that's
Just
the thing,
because
though.
of what that meant.
I don't think like if this game was a meh, people would be saying people wouldn't be
Halo's
saying
done.
it's okay. They would be saying
Yeah.
it's bad. Don't play it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's dead. Like it's either 9 or 10 out of 10, or literally no one. Like the only thing you see talking about it is that it's trash. Those were the spectrums. There was
Yeah.
no it's meh.
Even if we got like a Halo 4 level campaign, which is like pretty good, like it still would have been dog shit. Like
Yeah,
it
no,
had
in
to
the
be
public
good.
what was
side.
at stake.
Yeah.
And-
Just so we can get the conversation out of the way, it is also my game of the year. Campaign's amazing, but just for the social aspect, I haven't played a multiplayer game with friends this often since probably Destiny, but more since like Halo 3 and Halo Reach. Playing with Chris and Josh and Bret and Alec has just been like one of the funnest times being a gamer. And like I thought that these days of like playing multiplayer games until late into the night were long past, like I'm knocking on 30. But it's just like so much fun to stay up late and to like get this time in with you guys. And it's like we're not even having important conversations. Mostly it's just like curse words. But it is just such like a romping good time. And it makes me feel like I'm 14 again. And that's why it's my game of the year.
Yeah. It reminds me so much of the Halo 3 days that it's
Yeah.
crazy. But still feeling fresh and modern and just up until all hours of the night. Like my last check, which was a couple hours ago, is I have just over 300 hours in the game now.
Are you fucking kidding? I thought I had a lot at 130. God damn.
So
I've got like 306.
So I'll jump in here as well. Halo Infinite is my game of the year as well.
Hey.
Yeah, baby.
And because I'm not typically a multiplayer guy. And even when this was just in the flight tests, because I didn't get in the first one, I got in the second one, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like the flight test was going to make my top 10 on its own. Like it was just that good. And then the full multiplayer launched November 15th. And since then, including both multiplayer and campaign, I have 150 hours into this game. That does not happen for me for multiplayer games. Like it's only been out a month and a half.
Yeah.
It's been just about all I've been playing lately, and I am loving this game. Like it is just the game that I can just throw on, especially since they added Slayer playlists. I can just throw that on, throw some music on, and just chill and vibe. And I'll just put a message into the Discord, just be like, "Hey, Halo," and people come on. They do.
And most of us like, yeah, all right. 1 second.
Yeah. And it's just, we had a whole spoiler cast, so you have my thoughts on the campaign. Grapple's awesome. Mangler for life. And yeah.
I also want to shout out our Discord channel, Playing Halo, in quotations, by Beyonce. Like, that never doesn't get a chuckle whenever I hop in that Discord.
Yep. So, all right. Jordan.
My game of the year is Tetris 99. No, I'm kidding.
Hey.
I have about as many hours in that as Chris has in Halo, so do with that as you will.
It's so good.
It's so good. But no, my
But
game
do you
of
have
the
that
year
in
is-
that short amount of time? In a month and a half?
No, it's more that I realized when quarantine first started and I was doing school online that, hey, these are 15-minute games. Those add up fast.
True.
Anyway, my actual game of the year is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now, I'm going to say this. I probably enjoyed, in terms of fun, Guardians more, but like I said, personally with me, I need Game of the Year to kind of be good in every category, and Guardians had enough technical issues that, and I'm not usually the type to notice those things, that knocked it. So to me, Ratchet and Clank was a great story, great, not even reimagining, because it's not a reboot by any means, but it's a great way to keep the series modern and fresh.
A good next
But
step.
also, it runs great. Insomniac is doing fantastic with the performance ray tracing mode that they've added.
Perfect. Yes.
And also another thing to consider is that while they're doing performance ray tracing, the system is always rendering the full ray tracing mode under it, because the second you switch into photo mode, you see the slight changes. It's the same thing in both Spider-Man games.
I didn't notice that.
Because I thought every time I have to go into photo mode, I was going to have to switch modes. No, if you go into photo mode, it will go into the full ray tracing mode.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's great. I mean, I've played Ratchet and Clank set. It's one of the first games I ever played. So it really is a franchise that's been with me for a while. I haven't played every single one of them, but stuck with me. And so I like Rivet and Kit as additions, and I hope that we get to see more of them again without every plot having to be a dual dimension type of story. I hope they find a way to just converge the two.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like Josh was saying with the weapons, Ratchet and Clank knows how to do weapons well. There's a good mix of old ones and new ones, and then I liked kind of parallel dimension versions of old weapons. Like we had Mr. Zircon in the main universe. I think in this one it's a Mrs. Zircon.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
instead of the disco ball, you get the one that turns them into plants. Well, sure, they're not dancing in both, but you're kind of doing the same thing where they're not attacking you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling with the DualSense is fantastic.
Yeah,
looks like a Pixar game. It rewards exploration, but you could just mainline the story, and I did like a neat mix of both. And also, and I shout out to the puzzles in that game, because they were just as fun. Like, I know when people talk about Spider-Man, I'm just going to use that as the comparison because they're both Insomniac games. People never were a fan of the Mary Jane levels or the Miles levels, and I replayed that game this year, and I kind of see how it breaks up the momentum.
Right.
But the Clank puzzles were legitimately fun for me.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
And the virus ones were pretty fun as well. Glitch. That was
shout out to Glitch.
Yes.
But they also added a fantastic option where you could just kind of skip the puzzle.
Yep, that was me. I skipped every single one of those fuckers.
No, you missed out on the Clank puzzles, man. The Clank ones in particular, really good.
Very good. Yes, because they did the same thing with Spider-Man, where they're like, "Hey, do you want us to just stop kind of doing these, like putting these strips together and seeing like how the chemicals match up?" And I was like, "Yeah, Insomniac, I would like to stop fucking doing that." For
the first time I played that game, I was like, "No, I would not."
Yeah,
I was the same way.
I'm skipping them. But then, all the Clank puzzles, like you were saying, I'm like, I'm just gonna go through this and figure it out for myself, and it's incredible.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this in a way that doesn't sound as though I'm belittling it, because I mean this in the best way possible. The Clank puzzles kind of felt like the puzzle games that people download on their phones and become addicted to. Like, I could see an entire free-to-play game of just those Clank puzzles, the way I used to play like Cut the Rope or Flow and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I like those puzzles a lot.
Cut the Rope, man. I haven't thought about that game in ages.
I had a perfect score in that game because I had a teacher that taught with movies, which meant I was on my phone all class.
Game of the year. Game of the year 2021. Cut the Rope.
Cut the Rope.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. Oh, also, alternate dimension Nefarious looks like Ultron.
Yes.
Yeah.
A much more like badass version of Ultron. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I loved it when he showed up.
All right. Bret, your game of the year.
Yeah, so my game of the year is
Fortnite Chapter 3.
What could it be?
Yeah, so my game of the year is Metroid Dread.
2D Halo.
What?
Kind of like what I was talking about.
I already tallied it. I already written it.
Like, I know.
And also just like, oh, shit, and just read all the math.
Kind of like what I said with Halo when I was talking about that as my number 2. Like, when I think of like games for game of the year or these kind of awards, I do take it into account like what it means like for the legacy of like that game, that series, the industry. And so having a sequel to, like Alex said, a 20-year-old game that people held very dear was crazy. I still can't believe they actually did it, since there was like 8 Metroid Prime interquels, like that they were like, oh, they're just never gonna go beyond this point, and then they did it. Yeah, and they still used the code name Dread, which was crazy. Yeah, because that's crazy too. And the fact that it wasn't even primarily developed by Nintendo, like it was developed by a completely different studio, and they still were able to capture that Nintendo slash Metroid magic was crazy. Like Chris said with Halo, like my expectations were so high for this game, and the fact that they exceeded them on every front is mind blowing. Like I like the gameplay. It might be the best game I've ever played. Like the gameplay is so freaking fluid.
It is so good.
It's so good. It's crazy how good it is. I think graphically it's freaking gorgeous. Caveat it is on the Switch, so it's not going to be as good looking as some other games on PS5, Xbox Series X. The music is great. The story, Nintendo games, Metro games aren't like as cinematic as like Guardians of the Galaxy, but I do feel like the story was able to expand upon the Metroid lore that fans know in unique and interesting ways, and making the scale galactic but also personal to Samus. I don't even know how you would describe it, Alec. Like the Foley, like the sound effects of like Samus running around shooting, the ambient sounds, like that was mind blowing to me too. Like,
because that's something they've always been great at. Because like even in Fusion, like they had that great ambiance to it, and like even when you're just and you could tell even in just Dread that you could tell like when you're on like running through water, running on like solid rock, so running on metal, like they have those sound effects down perfectly.
Yeah, and
the attention to detail.
Exactly, and they were able to expand upon the Metroid formula that has been a staple for the past 35 years, which in ways that made sense and that were fun. Because I know sometimes like a lot of people don't like Metroid Fusion because it's too linear. I still like it a lot because of that, but I can see why people don't like that. But they were able to incorporate the open nature of Metroid in a way that made sense. And Alec brought up the difficulty. I do like how it's kind of difficult. Like I died a lot. Like I played through all the main Metroid titles before Dread came out. I maybe have died like 3 times out of like what 4 games. In Metroid Dread, I died like 1,000 times. But like I said, like Alex said earlier, the checkpoints and the accessibility was so great to keep you playing, to keep your progress checked up, which is awesome. So yeah, fantastic game. I can't wait to see what they do next in the Metroid franchise beyond Prime 4. So yeah, huge win.
All right. Chance.
Mine was Halo.
Oh, Halo. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah, we already talked about it.
Halo!
Austin.
Like Bret chose Metroid and Chris chose Halo. I think everyone knows mine already as well. I talked about it all year. It Takes Two is my game of the year.
Hell yeah.
It's one of those things where who knew? It's one of those things where it was a quality experience at the beginning of the year, right? And I'm like, it won't make it to the end.
Yeah, like
March
it will get February.
It will get knocked off. It didn't. This was the best game of this year for me personally. Not only was it a quality experience and felt like a Nintendo game, it was couch co-op, which I absolutely love. So I have a couch co-op quality experience, like a 9 out of 10 experience. Like this game is pretty freaking good with the memory of doing it with my fiance, who doesn't play video games, and it's a touching story that actually she caught on to as well, and that's not something she does at games at all. She just kind of is button mashing the entire time, and she likes colors and things to happen on screen. That's why she plays games. She was attached to the story to an extent. So yeah, I have that memory with her playing this game, and this is a quality experience that we've already talked about. The mini games are dope as hell. Like I love that I can play chess. Why? Why do I want to do that? Do I want to? Kind of. Like I kind of want to go on there and play chess. Like it's dope. Yeah, and going into that game because I remember seeing it when it was announced. I don't remember at what event, but I remember watching it when it was announced, and I thought that looks neat. Like that looks like couch co-op. I'll play it because of that. But going into this game, I quickly realized like this is a contender. Like this game rocks, and here we are. My game of the year is It Takes Two. To no surprise for the panel.
I had to put it on 3 because it was so great. I literally had beaten it like 30 minutes before, so I didn't want to be like number 1 or number
right.
So I just had to include it on there because it was so impactful. So
I cannot wait for Haze Light's next game. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm so excited.
when it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, like I know it's like dumb Bret, but like when it won Game of the Year, I was like, okay, like clearly I have to like pay attention to what this game is doing because like it is getting like recognition beyond like these huge AAA games from other like well-established studios.
Yeah,
I'm really happy it won this year at the Game Awards, much like I was happy Secure. Like, I'm glad that the Game Awards isn't just like the most popular pick. It is becoming like, no, this is like what we all loved. It's not just the thing that everybody talked about the most. Like, I think it has started in previous years, but like, I did not think Sekiro was going to win. I did not think It Takes Two was going to win. But I love that this is happening. Anyway,
it seems a lot more than a popularity contest.
Yeah.
Well, it seems a lot like the votes are being spread accurately among all of them, that one just ekes it out. Like, if I had to guess, Sekiro won by that much.
Minuscule
amount. If I had to guess, It Takes Two won by that much.
That's
like,
what
it had to be close.
Is we just saw it happen in like 2 years where I'm not going to say 2019 and 2021 were slow, but
they weren't 2015, 2018. Like, it is fair to say.
Or 2020.
Yeah.
Like, it was all games where like there's an argument to be made with everything, but there's not one game that is dominating the conversation like Red Dead or Last of Us or God of War.
Sometimes I think about that. I'm like, I kind of feel bad for Red Dead that it had to come out in the same year as God of War. But
it was so funny because Red Dead had like won all. Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah,
but Red Dead like won all the like technical achievements and the score and stuff, but then Game of the Year went to God of War.
Went to Game of the Year. Yeah, because
which I saw happening.
Greatest video game ever released. I'm just putting my head down.
Also, has a Game Awards moment ever went harder than the voice actors going, "Read it, boy," and the audience just losing their shit.
Right?
That's absolutely. There is one better Game Awards moment than that, and that's Joseph Fares getting up on the stage and yelling out "Fuck the Oscars,"
and then he has a full circle moment to then winning the Game Award.
And he brought it up.
It's beautiful.
Like, he brought it up. He's like, first I was like saying "fuck the Oscars," now I'm here hoisting up this award or something like that. I love this.
Which is incredible. Dude deserves it. Like I said earlier, I still haven't played It Takes Two. I do plan on getting it at some point, but I mean, just seeing what he did with games like A Way Out and that sort of thing, and kind of watching this story develop over time, like it's really cool to see him
starting with Brothers.
Yeah, Brothers as well. I forgot that was one of his games too.
Loved it too.
It's just really, really awesome, and yeah, I think Jordan kind of put it best, where it's like it's really cool to see it going up against these huge AAA games and still taking the Game of the Year spot, which is really, really sick.
Would it have beaten Halo? If Halo,
I don't see.
That's a tough one.
I don't see Halo. I don't see Halo performing well at the Game Awards personally. If it had launched in October, I don't think. I think for multiplayer stuff, yeah, but.
I could see Halo.
I think it would have taken like a multiplayer award or something, but I don't see it.
It might have split the vote even more, and Deathloop or something would have won.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
I could see Halo kind of getting it under the guise of like best shooter. Well, no, not only that, it's like kind of that always idea of like, well, what do you mean by Game of the Year? Are you talking the best game of the year, the game that dominated the conversation? Because like I had a vote that 2020's Game of the Year should have been Animal Crossing, just because the pandemic and Animal Crossing went hand in hand, and obviously 2020 is only ever going to be remembered by the pandemic. And so I think that like the conversation that happens around these games is important, and I think Xbox holding the game off an entire year and coming out the tail end, and then people were still talking about it as we got closer. Then the flights kind of brought the conversation up. Like for a game that was only out 1 month out of 12, it's kind of dominated the conversation for like 4 to 5 of them.
Since that first flight, it dominated all multiplayer conversation in my circles. Now, Chris is also in that circle, and he does talk loud, so maybe that's why, but I digest.
There's a reason Splitgate was born and died this year.
Yes. Yo, how fast did we 180 on Splitgate?
I still like it.
It's still a good game.
I don't think it's a bad game, but it's hilarious because I think even while I was playing it, like they were smart enough to make it publicly available like the day after the first Halo Infinite flight ended, where everyone was like, "I need more Halo action," and it's like, "Ha, surprise, Splitgate!" And I was like, "This is really cool. I'm glad it's popping off." I saw it everywhere. I was like, the moment Halo comes out, this game dies.
Yeah.
And then that's just the way it is, because it kind of lives and dies by the fact that it is so similar to Halo in so many ways.
Unless you're both the world's biggest Portal fans as well as the world's biggest Halo fan.
Well, hey, no.
There's like 5 people that are still playing them.
You brought up, or Jordan, you brought up earlier, like, is there a world where Halo kind of failed? Just imagine Splitgate in that reality. Can you imagine that? Splitgate would be fucking huge, dude.
Splitgate would have popped off if Halo sucked.
Yeah, no, that's actually very true. Wow.
What if, man? Okay, do you want to hear the results?
I was just gonna say.
Okay.
Bring us the results.
So coming in at number 2, beating out both Ratchet and Clank and Metroid Dread by 1 point, is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2 game of the year, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well,
okay.
So it's
do you want to do 3?
Well, it's a tie. It's a tie with the 2 I just said.
Okay.
Those would be number 3. Okay. And it's no shocker what the game of the year is. It's Halo, baby. Halo Infinite is shared screens game of the year 2021. Halo Infinite. It deserves it.
I'll never get sick of it. Yeah, I mean,
it's so good.
There you have
There's been no other game. There's been no other game that I put this amount of time in this quickly.
Did you hear that? You won, Chief. You did it.
Here's the thing.
High five, buddy.
I played against the system and didn't include Halo Infinite. Like I said, it was a tie for 3rd. I was initially coming in. I was like, that's my number 3. I was like, nah, let's make it interesting. Halo Infinite won by like 5 points.
And for me, like Dread and Infinite were like, I was flip flopping. I couldn't decide.
I personally think
Bret's heart was with Metroid.
Yeah. I personally understand either way. Bret would have cut that decision. Just because of like who Bret is, I understand how important both of these. I just feel like Bret has eaten the best out of all of us this year, and it kind of makes me hungry.
Yeah, and Metroid, Halo, Guardians, Mario Party, Mass Effect.
Yeah,
man.
I was thinking
WarioWare.
I was thinking Mass Effect, Dread, and just Halo. Just those 3 you were eating.
The year of Bret.
Yeah.
We almost got Advance Wars too. That would have been.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't wait for that.
I'm so sad that we got delayed.
We got to play that, dude.
I can't believe
for sure.
an Xbox exclusive won 2 years in a row for shared screens.
Yo, I'm a Sony slut, so don't even put that on me. The only Xbox I owned.
Xbox won last year.
Oh no, I'm saying this year Starfield's gonna win.
I was waiting for I know.
I didn't know what you guys
actually no. Party Animals. 2022.
Y'all know God of War comes out next year or this year, right?
Yeah. Fucking Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Are you kidding me? 9 movies in 1 fucking game. Oh my god, that's gonna be.
If Lego Star Wars
gets those 9
delayed again, I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna kill myself.
When it comes to,
I'm gonna put.
Josh is gonna yeet himself out the window.
When it comes to Starfield, here's the thing. I love Bethesda games.
Monetize
like they are my bread and butter when it comes to games. I don't give a fuck about space. I just don't. It's not my thing. I don't watch Star Wars. Mass Effect does nothing for me. Like it's not my thing. I think this might change it. Like Starfield has got me really hyped. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's just because it's Bethesda. I don't know.
I think the thing that
giving it a go.
The reason I could see Starfield kind of bringing in people like you, Austin, you're like, sci-fi has never been my thing. Where it's like I've said multiple times that like I'm not going to call myself a sci-fi aficionado, but I prefer sci-fi over fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Starfield is looking like they're trying their best to base it in reality, because they're calling the style like NASA punk, the way that like Dishonored was whale punk. So everything has a very real look to it versus like Mass Effect or Star Wars, which is just like. Or like kind of looks like
far-flung
sci-fi.
It's almost like Star Trek rather than
Starfield is gonna flop, and I'm gonna sit here and tell you I told you so.
And on that note, let's end this 3-hour podcast.
I've been saying this for a bit. Starfield is going to be the Cyberpunk 2077 of this year.
Wow!
Oh shit!
The expectations are way too fucking high for that game.
You know what?
I'm gonna expect this game to be underwhelming.
I'm gonna hop on this train too, just like I shit on Spider-Man No Way Home, and then I loved it.
Exactly.
Am I gonna get to say I told you so to chance 2 years in a row?
Damn.
I'm looking forward to it, baby.
Alrighty. And with that, we thank you for joining us for this great 2.5-hour podcast. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.